Warrior Lore. Chapter 4110. Three terrifying coffins slowly stood between the heavens and the earth. Each coffin was tens of thousands of kilometers in size. They stood between the heavens and the earth as if they were going to bury the entire world. The three coffins blocked all the paths to the Void Tower. Behind them, the figures stared at the Void Tower with bloodshot eyes. What kind of powerful technique is this? This technique makes my heart palpitate. Duke Sheening, don't get entangled. Just use your treasures and leave this place. Duke Timon's eyes narrowed when he saw the three coffins appear in an instant. He spoke uneasily. All right. Duke Sheening nodded his head heavily. With a flick of his palm, a space scroll appeared in his hand. With a flick of his palm, he stuck the space scroll onto the Void Tower. The entire Void Tower began to turn illusory. Boom, boom. However, at this moment, one of the coffins in the center suddenly trembled. The entire space also trembled. An energy that Duke Tianmin and Duke Sheening were extremely familiar with gushed out from the coffin. Soon after, the entire space was completely sealed. Space, dead stillness. An incomparably horrifying voice suddenly came from the coffin. The Void Pagoda, which had been teleporting, shook violently. The teleportation failed. What's going on? How is this possible? What is this? Dead stillness, a powerful forbidden technique of the Void royal family. Inside the Void Tower, Duke Tianmin and Duke Sheening's expressions changed drastically. They stared at the gradually opening coffin in disbelief. From the coffin, a powerful spatial energy surged out. The surrounding space froze completely. The entire Void Pagoda was also completely sealed. Dead stillness. This was a powerful forbidden technique created by the holy ruler of the Void royal family. It allowed one's body and consciousness to merge into the surrounding void and seal everything. This technique consumed a lot of energy. It could even be said that if one was not careful and allowed the opponent to break through, they would be seriously injured. Now, why did this forbidden technique and this spatial energy suddenly appear? This made them feel somewhat incredulous. They were somewhat shocked. Crack, crack. At this moment, the coffin in the center was completely opened. Inside the coffin, a figure appeared in their line of sight. General of the Army Expedition. When they saw the figure in the coffin, both Duke of Tianmin and Duke of Sheening exclaimed at the same time. The Void Universe's Void royal family's conquering general. During the last cataclysm, he was the only heavenly origin creation realm expert from the Void Universe who had completely fallen. How could a completely dead expert suddenly appear here? The figure in the coffin slowly opened his eyes, revealing a blood-red glow. His body exuded the power of space and deathly stillness. His temperament was completely different from what they remembered. Caw-caw, caw-caw. At this time, the other two huge coffins on the left and right sides also slowly opened. Two burly figures appeared in their line of sight. A dead heavenly primal fortune. When Tianmin Duke saw this, his expression changed drastically. The dead heavenly primordial fortune. Yes, the divine origin creation realm experts in the coffins were all divine origin creation realm experts who had died. But now, it had been summoned. Most importantly, the three dead divine origin creation stage experts still possessed the strength of the divine origin creation stage. They also possessed the secret techniques from when they were alive. Duke Sheening also took a deep breath. The power of the sixth path of the Six Paths universe, the attribute of the dead. The power of the dead has always been stronger in the universe, but this power, Duke Sheening's expression was somewhat ugly. They had never dealt with a heavenly primordial fortune expert from the Six Paths universe. They did not know that this heavenly primordial fortune expert from the Six Paths universe was so terrifying. He could actually summon dead experts. This was somewhat terrifying, somewhat powerful. If they were in the primal chaos, they might have been able to easily leave and even suppress them. But here, they were in big trouble. If these three special corpses could continue fighting, it was equivalent to facing the attack of four heavenly primordial fortune experts. With their suppressed strength, they could dodge one or two, but they had no confidence in dodging three or four. This Six Paths universe is not as simple as we thought. Tianmin Duke's expression was ugly. They moved their bodies and felt that the surrounding energy was extremely condensed. The power of space within their bodies was being squeezed by the surrounding power of space. Tianmin Duke, we can only pray for our own good now. Duke Shining stared at him and spoke. With a wave of his palm, the void pagoda disappeared and entered his body. Tianmin Duke nodded his head with an ugly expression. Next, they had to flee for their lives. As for whether they could escape, it would depend on their luck. Both of them took a deep breath. They began to use the trump cards and treasures in their hands. Wang Xian did not know that the arrival of the experts from the Six Paths universe had allowed him to escape a calamity. But at this moment, although he had escaped a calamity, his body was on the brink of death. The vitality in his body was extremely weak. It could be said that any living creature could kill him. He floated on the water surface of the water source and was swept by the waves. He was completely unconscious. At this state, it would not take long for Wang Xian to die, and before long, he would be resurrected in the Dragon Palace. Miss, look out. There seems to be someone over there. Time passed slowly. A few hours later, the two of them floated on the water surface and flew forward rapidly. At this moment, the girl on the right suddenly spoke and stood in front of the girl beside her. The girl beside her had a bulging belly. She was obviously pregnant. I see him. He seems to be injured. The pregnant girl looked over and said, Miss, we don't know the identity of this person. Let's not bother about him. The maidservant on the right said, It's all right. Since we have already bumped into him, let's go over and take a look. If we can help, let's do him a favor. The girl hesitated for a moment, touched her belly, and said, This? The maidservant frowned slightly. At this moment, the body in front of them was approaching slowly under the wind and waves. All right. The maidservant nodded her head. Miss, I'll go and take a look. The maidservant flew over and checked the body. She frowned as waves of wood attribute energy surged into the body. Miss, this person is severely injured and is on the brink of death. He is now unconscious and won't recover so easily. The maidservant said to the girl, Bring him back. We're very close to the tribe now. The girl said, Miss, you're too kind. Chapter 41:11. Miss, I have prepared everything for you. Everything for the baby is ready. Will the baby be born today? Miss, is there anything else I can do? Is there anything else I can do? Water source, in a courtyard of the Muley tribe. The Muley tribe was located on the water surface. Below the water surface was a treasure land. The entire Muley tribe was exceptionally beautiful. Rain was constantly falling from the sky. Not far away, there was a rainbow adding color. Voices could be heard coming from one of the rooms inside. A child was about to be born. Outside the room, a middle-aged couple stood there, listening to the voices in the room. There was not a trace of joy on their faces. Humph, I didn't expect that I, Mu Liqiao, would become the grandfather of an unknown bastard. How shameful. The middle-aged man glanced at the room and snorted coldly with an embarrassed expression. All right, Een is our daughter. She suddenly, alas, if she wants this child, then this child will be the descendant of our family. The woman next to him pulled his arm helplessly. Shameful, shameful. The middle-aged man roared angrily and helplessly. As he spoke, he glanced at the room next to him. A seriously injured man suddenly appeared there. Does it have anything to do with Een? He asked in a deep voice. No, I have already checked. Een and the others met him on the way and brought him here. When he wakes up, I will ask Xiao AI to send him away to avoid some rumors. The woman nodded. That's good. The middle-aged man nodded. Miss, the baby is born. The baby is born. It's a boy, a cute boy. Along with the sound of crying, a pleasantly surprised voice rang out. In the courtyard, the middle-aged couple heard the child's cry and immediately looked over. Rumble, rumble. However, in the next moment, a roar suddenly rang out. Along with the roar of the heavens and earth, a purple light, accompanied by an extremely dense aura of vitality, suddenly lit up the entire sky. No, not the entire sky. It was the entire universe. The universe roared. The purple vitality filled the universe. The sky and earth changed color. The sudden turn of events stunned the middle-aged couple in the courtyard. They hurriedly raised their heads to look at the sky. The entire world was enveloped by the purple aura and the aura of vitality. Even the rainwater seemed to contain powerful energy. All the living beings in the Six Paths universe felt a warmth enveloping their hearts. Heaven and earth are changing? What is this? Why does it feel like a celebration? The middle-aged man stood in the courtyard and looked up into the sky, sensing the changes in the universe. A look of shock appeared on his face as he muttered. At this moment, in the skies above the six treasured lands of the Six Paths universe, on top of the palace, there were two figures sitting there. Suddenly, they raised their heads and looked up at the changes in the universe. Shock appeared on their faces. This is the universe's celebration. The supreme treasure of good fortune of Heaven Yuan has appeared. The ultimate treasure of fortune of Heaven's origin has been born. It has really been born. What kind of ultimate treasure of fortune is this? Where exactly is it in our universe? It's really born. We can't let those from the other universes get our Six Paths universe's treasure. Two figures stood there, their eyes flashing with madness as they roared loudly. At the same time, in different parts of the Six Paths universe, ever since the news of the birth of the Heaven Yuan fortune treasure spread, there were already 40 to 50 Heaven Yuan fortune realm experts that came to the Six Paths universe. They were all searching for the Heaven Yuan fortune treasure. But for the past tens of millions of years, there was no news of the Heaven Yuan fortune treasure. Now, the sudden change in the Six Paths universe had caused all the experts to feel something. This must be the birth of the Heaven Yuan fortune treasure. What kind of Heaven Yuan fortune treasure is this? Is it an offensive type or something else? Hoo-hoo, the treasure has been born. We must find it, we must get it. As expected, the birth of the Heaven Yuan fortune treasure in this universe. If I can get my hands on it, my strength will be greatly enhanced. Greatly enhanced. Quick, look for it quickly. We must get it before all the other experts find out. The Heaven Yuan fortune treasure. All the Heaven Yuan fortune treasures seem to have gone mad. The preciousness of the Heaven Yuan fortune treasure was unimaginable. The Nine Origins universe was not weak, but the Heaven Yuan fortune realm experts, other than the universe AI that had not been fully controlled, were the sorcerer race's Heaven Yuan fortune treasure. The other experts did not have a Heaven Yuan fortune treasure. Even the fallen Shadow Devil Emperor did not have a Heaven Yuan fortune treasure. For the sake of this universe's Heaven Yuan fortune treasure, he did not hesitate to enter and search. This time, all the experts were in a frenzy. In fact, some of the Heaven Yuan fortune realm experts were already preparing to send their subordinates into the Six Paths universe. If their subordinates entered, even if their strength was suppressed, as long as they could obtain the Heaven Yuan fortune treasure, all the losses would be worth it. The Heaven Yuan fortune realm experts of the Six Paths universe began to move. The group of Heaven Yuan fortune realm experts from the outside was also searching frantically. Husband, what's going on? In a courtyard of the Muley tribe, a woman asked the middle-aged man. I don't know either, but it doesn't seem like a bad thing. The middle-aged man shook his head. He was only a fifth-order universe sovereign. He could not sense what was going on. As long as it's not a bad thing, let's go in and see our daughter and child. The woman nodded and said to the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man looked around, nodded, and walked into the house. At the same time, in the room beside, Wang Xian was lying on a bed. His face was drained of blood, and he looked extremely weak. But at this moment, he suddenly opened his eyes. Although he was still extremely weak and could still be killed easily, the radiance in his eyes was unusually bright. He could sense it. He could sense a very sacred and powerful energy. This energy had an unparalleled sharpness. Wang Xian sat up slowly and looked to his right. To his right was a wall. Given Wang Xian's current injuries, he could not see through the wall. But at this moment, he could see through the wall. He could see that there was an extremely powerful treasure only 30 meters away from him. The aura was a little familiar. Heaven Yuan fortune treasure. He slowly spat out 6 words. His eyes were burning as he added another 3 words. Would attribute. Chapter 41:12. Would attribute. Heavenly Yuan Fortune Treasure. Wang Xian had never expected to find a heavenly Yuan fortune treasure under such circumstances. He stared in the direction of the wall, his eyes shining with a fiery luster. He took a deep breath. Cough, cough. An intense pain suddenly came, causing a helpless expression to appear on his face. My injuries are too severe, but I'm not dead yet. How long has it been? Wang Xian came back to his senses and calculated the time. It's already been 2 months? My current location seems to be in a tribe with a water source. Have I been saved by someone? The experts from the Void Universe didn't chase after me. What's going on? Looks like I've escaped death, Wang Xian murmured. Although he could be resurrected after death, Wang Xian was definitely lucky not to die. And from the looks of it, he was bound to be blessed after surviving a disaster. Would attribute heavenly Yuan fortune treasure. Definitely. It must have just been born and isn't that strong. Its concealment ability is really strong. If not for the progenitor tree in my body, if not for me being so close, I wouldn't have discovered it. Wang Xian thought to himself. Heavenly Yuan fortune treasures were divided into 2 types. One was the heavenly Yuan fortune treasure that had just been born and was already at its peak. These heavenly Yuan fortune treasures were usually dazzling existences before they were born. Before they were born, they absorbed massive amounts of energy from heaven and earth. It was hard not to discover these heavenly Yuan fortune treasures. The second type of heavenly Yuan fortune treasures were very weak after they were born. They would absorb energy bit by bit until they matured. These heavenly Yuan fortune treasures usually had strong concealment abilities and were hard to discover. The treasure was reserved, and only when it was fully matured would it release its radiance. The heavenly Yuan fortune treasures of the 6 Paths universe belonged to the second type. Under such circumstances, Wang Xian could sense the existence of the heavenly Yuan fortune treasures. Other experts, including the heavenly Yuan fortune treasures of the 6 Paths universe, would not be able to discover them unless they were dozens of meters away. My luck is really good. Wang Xian waved his palm and some divine fruits appeared in his hand. He still had some divine fruits and elixir pills with him. Moreover, these divine fruits and elixir pills were all at least level 9 universe sovereigns. Wang Xian consumed them immediately. Waves of energy entered his body and healed his injuries. But according to Wang Xian's calculations, if he wanted to recover to his peak, he would need to cultivate for another 5 to 600 million years with the resources he had on hand. The experts from the Void Universe are not here yet. We can call Bull over. Since Bull is here, get him to make some recovery items. His injuries should be able to recover within 100 million years. Wang Xian pondered. He got off the bed and took a deep breath. His current combat power was only at the level of an emperor god. It couldn't be helped. His injuries were too severe, and with the suppression from the 6 Paths universe, he was extremely weak right now. However, Wang Xian still headed outside. He wanted to take a look and see what the Heaven Origin fortune treasure was. Just where is it hiding? He had to get his hands on it. Wang Xian had a deep understanding of the power of a heavenly Yuan creation treasure. Without the progenitor tree, Wang Xian would not have been able to reach this stage. In fact, without the progenitor tree, the Dragon Palace would not be so powerful. Several pinnacle dragon species were born because of the progenitor tree. Come, let me take care of the baby. Hee, I have some treasures from the Muley tribe that can help shape the body and build a foundation for babies. Come. Wang Xian walked out of the room and looked in the direction of the Heaven Origin fortune treasure. Then, he heard voices coming from there. It's in that room. Wang Xian thought to himself. He was sure that it was in that room. However, in that room, there were 4 people, and the strength of these 4 people was much stronger than his current strength. Wang. At this moment, Wang Xian sensed a message from Bull. 1 month. Bull replied. He could rush over in a month. As long as Bull could rush over, everything would be simple. I hope there are no accidents. I must get the Heaven Origin fortune treasure. His eyes were filled with determination. Come, call me Mommy, Grandma, and Grandpa. Have you thought of a name for Xiaobao? Mom, I've thought about it. She will be called Tianxi from now on. Tianxi, Muley, Tianxi. Great. Before he achieves anything, he can't use the surname Muley. I'll send someone to teach him cultivation in half a month. Before he achieves anything, he shouldn't go out. Father, Tianxi is just born. To start cultivating in half a month don't say anymore. Now that you have given birth to the child, you have to listen to me in the future. Don't worry, I'll teach him here for now. At this moment, a voice came from the room in front. It was a male voice with a tinge of authority and certainty. All right, I'll listen to you. Come, bring Tianxi to see the outside world. The voice of a lady was heard. At this moment, footsteps were heard. Wang Xian stood there and saw a couple and a female servant walking out. The woman was carrying a child in her arms. However, this child was already 70 to 80 centimeters tall. This was normal. As the center of the universe, a newborn child would weigh about 7 to 8 kilograms. However, be it the woman or her parents, they were all strong. With some treasures, the child could grow rapidly. If they were willing, they could even make the child grow to 2 meters tall in a day. Of course, under normal circumstances, they wouldn't do that. They would let their child grow from a young age. It might take 100 years for them to grow to a height of 1 meter. When a baby was just born, it would be shaped to be 70 to 80 centimeters tall. This was also to strengthen the baby's vitality, to prevent it from dying prematurely. Therefore, the baby could run the moment he was born. The woman walked out with the baby in her arms. The baby in her arms was looking at the world around him with a pair of big eyes. Ah, 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 ah. Suddenly, when he saw Wang Xian, he let out a cry and began to struggle. Huh, what's wrong, Tianxi? The woman was taken aback when she saw the child in her arms trying to break free. She squatted down slowly and placed him on the ground. Ah, ah. After Tianxi was placed down, he ran towards Wang Xian. As he ran, he extended his arms. This caused the woman and the others to reveal astonished expressions. At this moment, Wang Xian stared at the child with disbelief and shock. He opened his mouth. Under his senses, this child. He was a creation treasure of Tianyuan. Chapter 41:13. Yes. Under Wang Xian's senses, this newborn baby that was running towards him was a creation treasure of heavenly Yuan. That's right. Wang Xian's senses were definitely right. This made him feel a little overwhelmed. This was a little strange. How could this be possible? How could a child be a creation treasure of heavenly Yuan? Under his astonished gaze, the child ran up to him and hugged him. Wang Xian lowered his head and looked at him. The child lifted his head and looked at him. After hesitating for a moment, Wang Xian carried him up slowly. An extremely dense wood-based energy gushed out from the child's body. At this moment, Wang Xian sensed the progenitor tree in his body trembling slightly. The wood-based energy was absorbed by the progenitor tree. Subsequently, the progenitor tree extended a branch and attached itself to the child. A surge of energy was transmitted into the child's body. Kikik, kikik. The child seemed to be feeling very comfortable as he laughed. Wang Xian's expression changed slightly when he sensed the situation. He carried the child in his palm and sent a surge of energy into the child's body to check on his condition. Under Wang Xian's senses, he sensed that there was a sprout in the child's body. A green sprout. It grew abruptly in the child's body. Although it was very small, it contained extremely pure wood-based energy. This energy was full of tenacity and sharpness. It was completely different from the energy of the progenitor tree. This was not a supportive creation treasure of heavenly Yuan. It was an offensive type. This is a newly born creation treasure of heavenly Yuan. I'm 100% sure. This creation treasure of heavenly Yuan has grown in the body of a child and is connected to the child's life. Now, I can take away this creation treasure of heavenly Yuan. Wang Xian concluded. Now, he could take away this creation treasure of heavenly Yuan with 100% certainty. However, if he were to take away this creation treasure of heavenly Yuan, this child would probably die instantly. This child's life was connected to the creation treasure of heavenly Yuan. Very strange. This situation was very strange. Sir, you're awake. I didn't expect Tianxi to be so close to you. Murray looked over and spoke to Wang Xian with a smile. Are you the ones who saved me? Wang Xian looked at them and asked. It was our young miss who saved you and brought you here. If it wasn't for our young miss, you might have died. Our young miss said that saving you is also a good deed for our young master. The maidservant beside Murray spoke to Wang Xian. Thank you for saving my life, young lady. Wang Xian looked at Murray and thanked her. His heart was in turmoil. He was already thinking about how he could get his hands on the heaven origin fortune treasure, but this woman had saved him. Most importantly, he said that he was doing good deeds for his own child? What? The child in front of him had a heavenly origin fortune treasure in his body. If Wang Xian did not take it away, others would definitely think that he was out of his mind. Even if they took away the heaven origin fortune treasure, this child would die. However, for existences at their level, the life of a child was incomparable to the life of a heavenly yuan fortune supreme treasure. Not to mention a child, even if there were 100 million of them, 99% of the heaven origin creation realm experts would make a move to be able to cultivate to such a realm. Which one of them wasn't in existence that massacred cities and destroyed nations? Which of their hands wasn't stained with the blood of millions of living beings? What kind of existence was the heavenly yuan fortune treasure? Biting the hand that feeds you. Wang Xian felt a little helpless. He had not expected such a choice to be presented to him. The other party saved him to do good deeds for the child, not to let him kill her child. You're welcome. We were just doing it out of convenience. Murray shook her head. Your injuries are serious. Rest well. We'll do other things after you've recovered. Thank you for your concern. Wang Xian nodded. He squatted down and put the little boy down. Go and look for your mother. Yeah. However, the little boy wasn't obedient. He still hugged Wang Xian and refused to let go. This made Wang Xian speechless. At the side, Murray shook her head when she saw this. She walked over and said, Come, Tianxi. Come and stay with your mother. Murray reached out and wanted to carry Tianxi away. However, in the next second, Tianxi cried out and hugged Wang Xian, unwilling to leave. Seeing this, Wang Xian had an idea and ordered the progenitor tree to hide. The reason why Tianxi wanted to get close to him was because of the progenitor tree in Wang Xian's body. The two would attribute sky yuan creation treasures were in the growing stage. Wang Xian could clearly feel the subtle changes in the progenitor tree during the transformation of energy just now. This change was a good thing for the progenitor tree. The attraction of the progenitor tree made Tianxi want to get close to him instinctively. All right. Tianxi, don't cry. Murray hugged Tianxi and started comforting him. I'm going to the room to recover from my injuries. I won't disturb you any further. I'll thank you when Miss Murray is free. Wang Xian looked at them, bowed to them and walked into the room. All right. Murray nodded and continued to coax Tianxi. This little Tianxi is really good at messing around. Come, let Granny hug you. The lady behind came over and comforted him. The few of them started to coax the child. Wang Xian swept a glance around and entered the room. His expression changed slightly. After a few minutes of silence, he shook his head helplessly. Forget it. If there's no good solution, then forget it. Let's see if the progenitor tree can get something useful from him when he grows. Even if it's just a branch. In the end, Wang Xian decided to let go. He had his own principles. If someone offended him, he would return the favor tenfold. But now that the other party had helped him, Wang Xian couldn't return kindness with ingratitude. Although the temptation of the sky yuan creation treasure was too great, he couldn't cross his own bottom line. Moreover, after the short conversation with Tianxi, he realized that the progenitor tree could also benefit from contact with the sky yuan creation treasure in his body. However, the sky yuan creation treasure in his body had just been born, and the effects weren't obvious yet. I'll stay here for a period of time. Wang Xian made up his mind. After sensing the situation outside, he closed his eyes and started to recover from his injuries. Creak. After a few days, the door to Wang Xian's room was suddenly opened. This made him narrow his eyes and look at the door. Soon after, he saw a head peeking in with a pair of big eyes looking at him. Wang Xian smiled when he saw it. Chapter 41:14. Uncle. Tianxi peeked through the gap of the door and called out to Wang Xian with a smile. Come in. Wang Xian looked at this little guy with a smile. He looked at the time. It was the 10th day since Tianxi was born. Over the past 10 days, there were no changes to his body. He was still 70 to 80 centimeters tall and chubby. Upon hearing Wang Xian, he ran over with a smile. Uncle, I feel the most comfortable when I'm with you. My mother keeps asking me to learn how to read. Tianxi walked over and sat beside him. He hugged Wang Xian's arm and spoke. Hee, your mother is doing this for your own good. Wang Xian smiled and patted his head. A wave of energy entered his body. Instantly, the progenitor tree in his body stirred. From his palm, a branch entered Tianxi's body. Within Tianxi's body, the wood-based heaven yuan creation treasure was still in the form of a sprout. This sprout seemed to be very excited when it sensed the aura of the progenitor tree. It wrapped its branches around it. Although they were of the same wood-based attribute, they had different attributes. Gradually, they blended together. Uncle, your aura is so comfortable. It's even more comfortable than my mother. Bring me out to play? Tianxi hugged Wang Xian and continued. Her? We can go out, but we have to play at the entrance. Wang Xian looked at him and spoke with a smile. At the same time, he was also sensing the heaven yuan creation treasure in Tianxi's body. As it was still in the sprout state, the characteristics of this heaven yuan creation treasure had yet to be revealed. He could sense that the progenitor tree was injecting waves of pure wood-based energy into the sprout. The progenitor tree did not circulate the energy directly like the first time and absorb it back. This was pure feedback. It was purely injecting energy into the sprout. The sprout was clearly very excited as it absorbed the energy from the progenitor tree. The energy it could absorb was a drop in the bucket compared to the energy contained by the progenitor tree. The progenitor tree seemed to be enhancing the sprout. Wang Xian did not stop it. The progenitor tree must have its own plans for this. The entrance isn't fun at all. My mother doesn't let me go too far. The 10-day-old Tianxi could not only speak clearly, but his intelligence was also comparable to a 5-year-old child. Although he was a little unwilling, he still pulled Wang Xian to the entrance. It's all rain. There's nothing fun here. Wang Xian brought him to the entrance of the courtyard. Tianxi looked around and shook his head. Wang Xian looked around. This was a place belonging to a tribe, and the surroundings were filled with similar small courtyards. Occasionally, he could see some people looking over. When they saw Wang Xian, they were curious. Not fun. Tianxi lifted his head and looked at Wang Xian. He continued, Uncle, can you bring me somewhere far away to play? Not without your mother's permission. Wang Xian shook his head. With a wave of his arm, tree branches appeared out of thin air around them. The branches quickly turned into a playground. There were all kinds of toys and facilities for children to play in the visitor center. Wow, Uncle, what is this? Seeing the changes before him, Tianxi exclaimed, This is just a small ability. You will learn it in the future. Go ahead and play. Wang Xian said to him with a smile. Yes, there's a shaking tree there. It looks fun. After all, Tianxi was a child who had not seen much of the world and did not have much wisdom. He ran over excitedly and started playing. Other things aside, the toys created by Wang Xian were not found in the Six Paths universe. This playground was similar to the children's playground on Earth. Even adults would be curious when they saw it. As a child, he naturally could not resist it. Uncle, come over here. Let's play together. Tianxi shouted and waved at Wang Xian. You only love to play. Don't disturb your uncle. At this moment, Tianxi's mother, Muli walked out and said to Tianxi. She had a kind look on her face as she sized up this special place. After which, she looked at Wang Xian. Did this child, Tianxi, disturb you? Muli asked. No, Tianxi is very cute. Moreover, you guys are my saviors. This is nothing. Wang Xian shook his head at Muli and said with a smile, you and Tianxi are fated. Speaking of which, he is unusually close to you. When he first learned to speak, he said he wanted to look for his uncle. Mu Li'in, said with a helpless look. She felt that her son seemed to like Wang Xian very much, and kept saying he wanted to look for his uncle. Wang Xian smiled when he heard this. The reason why Tianci was close to him was due to the mutual attraction between Tian Yuan's creation treasure. Both of them were of the wood attribute and could be considered as the origin. Oh yes, what's your name? Are your injuries better? Mu Li'in looked at Wang Xian and asked, Just call me Wang Xian. My injuries are fine. Sorry to disturb you for this period of time. I'll leave after some time. Wang Xian nodded and replied with a smile, That's not what I meant. Since Tianci likes you so much, it's better for you to stay here for a few more days. Let's talk again when your injuries are completely healed. Mu Li'in shook her head and explained, Wang Xian nodded. He was just saying it. He wouldn't leave even if she asked him to. Wang Xian had a hunch that he could gain some benefits from Tianci. Mummy, come over and play with me. At this moment, Tianci's shouts continued. Mu Li'in felt a little helpless. However, she still walked over with a smile. Wang Xian looked at Tianci with flickering eyes. Among these wood attribute branches, there were branches from the progenitor tree. Tianci's presence here was equivalent to being close to the progenitor tree at all times. The Tian Yuan's creation treasure in his body was also absorbing the energy of the progenitor tree at all times to grow. Hey, which tribe are you from? Why are you so badly injured this time? Mu Li'in's maidservant walked over and asked Wang Xian. No tribe. I met a powerful elemental beast the previous time. Wang Xian looked at the maidservant and answered with a smile. No tribe? In that case, you can stay here for a few more days. Our young master seems to like you a lot. The maidservant sized Wang Xian up and continued. You look pretty good too. Wang Xian smiled and asked, Oh yes, why didn't I see Tianci's father? Huh. Hey, don't ask this question in the future, especially in front of our young master and mistress. The maidservant suddenly warned Wang Xian in a low voice. Wang Xian looked at her curiously. Chapter 41:15. I'll tell you. Don't tell anyone else. Forget it. Everyone else knows anyway. When the maidservant saw Wang Xian looking at her curiously, she transmitted a message to him. Our young master doesn't have a father. The maidservant added, No father? Wang Xian was still a little puzzled by her words. In that case, Mu Li'in was abandoned? Mu Li'in looked very pretty. Those who could be described as very beautiful by Wang Xian were usually top-notch and almost impeccable. And indeed, Mu Li'in's appearance was very exquisite. Perhaps because she had given birth, she had a special charm that other girls didn't have. Just know this. Don't ask too much. The maidservant continued to speak to Wang Xian. Wang Xian nodded. He didn't have this gossip. If Tianci didn't have a father, he must have abandoned his wife and son or gotten pregnant out of wedlock. Uncle, come and play. Come and play. Tianci's voice could be heard from the front again. Wang Xian shook his head at him. Mu Li'in whispered something to Tianci and didn't call out to him again. An hour later, Tianci was tired and brought Mu Li'in back to her room. Wang Xian returned to his room and continued to recuperate with his legs crossed. However, within a few hours, Tianci came to his room again. I want to sleep with uncle, not with my mother. Tianci hugged his blanket and climbed onto Wang Xian's bed happily. All right, go to sleep. Seeing this, Wang Xian nodded with a smile. Tianci was in front of him. As long as his mother didn't object, Wang Xian naturally wouldn't object. The progenitor tree entered his body. In less than 10 seconds, Tianci fell into a deep sleep. Sigh. Wang Xian, sorry to trouble you. This child insisted on sleeping with you. Sorry for disturbing you. Soon, Mu Li'in transmitted a message to Wang Xian. Hee, it's all right. I'll be recuperating at the side. It won't affect me. Let Tianci sleep at my place. Wang Xian transmitted a message immediately. Mu Li'in replied. She stood at the door with helplessness and bitterness on her face. Her son didn't follow his biological mother. Instead, he followed an outsider. This made him very sad. If he hadn't given birth to him, he would have doubted whether he was his own son or not. Next, Wang Xian sat cross-legged and continued his cultivation. There was no time to recover from injuries. However, after Tianxi woke up, he left after taking a look at Wang Xian. After more than 10 hours, he went back to sleep. Wang Xian had no idea how long he had been cultivating. On this day, the Qilin bull sent him a message telling him that he had arrived. Wang Xian opened his eyes and immediately took out a communication device to reply. Boss. Before long, Qilin bull appeared in front of Wang Xian. With the Qilin bull's current strength, even if he came in, Muli In, and the others would not be able to sense him. Boss, your injuries are so severe. Eat these medicines and divine fruits first to recover from your injuries. Unicorn Bull said to Wang Xian. Give him some resources to heal his wounds. Wang Xian nodded his head and swallowed it. Although I'm injured this time, there's good fortune after surviving a disaster. Wang Xian smiled. Subsequently, he told the unicorn about his encounter with the heavenly Yuan fortune treasure. What? Boss, you encountered the heavenly Yuan fortune treasure? That treasure turned out to be a little boy that merged with the life of a child. This? Qilin Bull's eyes widened in shock. Yes. However, Tianxi's mother saved my life. Therefore, I'm not going to take the heavenly Yuan fortune treasure away. I'll see if I can get some other fortunes by staying by his side. In addition, I'll help him grow. In the future, I'll form a good relationship with him. Wang Xian nodded his head and said to Qilin Bull, Tianxi's mother saved him, which was also a good deed for Tianxi. In that case, Wang Xian naturally wanted to form a good relationship with her. Boss, you're indeed the boss. It's rare to see someone like you in the entire universe. You're indeed the boss of Qilin Bull. Qilin Bull flattered Wang Xian when he heard it. However, his face was also filled with admiration. To be able to remain unmoved and ungreedy in front of a heavenly Yuan fortune treasure was something that few people could do. A treasure of this level could turn brothers against each other and form a feud between father and son. Wang Xian shook his head. All right, wait for my news in the mother nest. Yes, boss. Qilin Bull nodded his head and entered the mother nest. At the same time, Qilin Bull took out some resources. This included the corpse of the heavenly Yuan fortune treasure realm expert that Wang Xian wanted him to take away. Let's see if there are any treasures in the corpse of the heavenly Yuan fortune treasure realm expert. Wang Xian sensed the corpse and looked over. Wang Xian did not have the time to look at the corpse when he killed it. With a shift of his mind, he began to search. From the corpse, he found a space ring. The space ring was easy to open. When Wang Xian opened it and saw the items inside, he was shocked. So many treasures. Why does this guy have so many treasures on him? Wang Xian revealed a trace of joy. There were many resources in his space ring, and some of them contained a massive amount of energy. In fact, one of the treasures contained energy that had reached the level of heavenly Yuan fortune treasure realm. What Wang Xian did not know was the reason why the glowing shadow had so many resources on him. That was because the glowing shadow did not think that he would be in danger when he entered the Six Paths universe. Moreover, most of the resources were rewards given to him by the experts of the Void Universe. The experts of the Void Universe had invited a heavenly Yuan fortune treasure realm expert to help attack the unknown mastermind. Ordinary heavenly Yuan fortune treasure realm experts would not be willing to accept such a mission. Duke Tianmin and Duke Xining, two control-level existences, had only found one glowing shadow, because this mission was to find the mastermind. No one knew how many heavenly Yuan fortune treasure realm experts were behind this. Once they joined in, it could be said that they were going to be enemies. Mortal enemies. In fact, this mastermind might even be a heavenly Yuan fortune treasure realm expert of the Nine-Source universe. This was also indirectly making an enemy of the Nine-Source universe. Which heavenly Yuan fortune treasure realm expert would dare to offend the Nine-Source universe? The glowing shadow agreed to accept this mission, and the rewards were naturally generous. In fact, this revenge was paid by 5 or 6 heavenly Yuan fortune treasure realm experts from the Void universe. These resources were rare even for a heavenly Yuan fortune treasure realm expert of the Darkness treasure realm. Otherwise, The glowing shadow would not have taken this risk. But now, all these resources belong to Wang Xian. In fact, he even left a corpse behind. Are these resources enough to upgrade the Tai Chi Dragon Plate? Wang Xian's heart was suddenly burning with passion. Chapter 41:16. The resources within this darkness-attributed corpse were beyond Wang Xian's expectations. Currently, the Tai Chi Dragon Board had already reached the peak of the Universe Ruler realm. There was still a long way to go before he broke through. It was even very difficult to break through. The reason the grindstone was able to break through was because it had absorbed the elemental god. The elemental god's fragment was an existence comparable to the heavenly origin creation in the primal chaos. Under such circumstances, the great grindstone of the 5 elements finally broke through. As for the Tai Chi Dragon Plate, it could also be used to absorb treasures of this level to make a breakthrough. The Tai Chi Dragon Plate and the 5 elements grindstone could break through without any shackles. This was because of the 2 treasures. One of them was forged with the 5 elemental essence as its foundation, with the 5 elemental dragon souls as its core, breaking through by continuously devouring and strengthening. The Tai Chi Dragon Plate, on the other hand, was constantly making breakthroughs through the heart of light and darkness and the yin-yang dragon soul. It was especially so for the 5 elements grindstone. When it was being nurtured in Wang Xian's body, it had also absorbed the energy of the progenitor tree. This was the reason why the 5 elements grindstone could easily break through. It was extremely difficult for any object to reach the level of heavenly yuan fortune. However, the 5 elements grindstone and the Taiji Dragon Coil were somewhat special. They were originally the core of the 5 elements Dragon King and the Light and Dark Dragon King. This corpse contained extremely pure darkness origin energy, which the Tai Chi Dragon Disc could absorb at a high speed. These resources might be able to upgrade the Tai Chi Dragon Plate. Looking at all the resources, Wang Xian's eyes lit up. He immediately placed the Tai Chi Dragon Plate in the mother nest and ordered it to absorb the resources. In addition, this corpse could also be said to contain very pure energy. This energy could even allow Wang Xian to absorb it and rapidly recover from his injuries. However, it was too extravagant to use the corpse of a divine origin creation realm expert to recover from his injuries. Wang Xian was not that extravagant. I'll absorb all of these treasures. If the Tai Chi Dragon Plate can't help me break through, then I'll absorb the energy from this corpse. Wang Xian calculated in his heart and looked forward to it. If he could really break through, it would be a huge boost to his strength. However, he wasn't 100% sure. The resources within the corpses were a huge surprise to Wang Xian. He sat cross-legged on the bed and continued to heal his injuries. With some of the resources from the Qilin Bowl, Wang Xian could shorten the recovery time significantly. Time passed day by day. Tianxi would come to his place to sleep every night. The progenitor tree kept splitting some of its energy to nurture the heaven origin fortune supreme treasure in his body, establishing a connection with it. Occasionally, Wang Xian would play with Tianxi for a while. In the blink of an eye, another half a year had passed. Woo-woo, woo-woo-woo. Woo-woo, woo-woo-woo. On this day, Wang Xian was still recovering from his injuries. Suddenly, the sound of crying came from the side, causing him to open his eyes slightly. Wang Xian opened his eyes and looked at Tianxi at the side. When he saw Tianxi choking and crying, Wang Xian revealed a smile. Tianxi, what happened? Wang Xian asked curiously. Uncle, I'm too stupid. When Tianxi saw Wang Xian, she could not help but hug him and continue crying. Stupid? How can that be? Tianxi, you are very smart and powerful. How can you be stupid? Wang Xian patted his head and comforted him with a smile. I'm just very stupid. Grandpa also said that I'm very stupid. He said that other children only need a few days to reach the entry level, but I used a few months to reach the entry level. He said that I'm destined to be a weakling in the future, and that I'm destined to be a grain of sand in the upcoming crisis. Tianxi lifted his head and spoke to Wang Xian with an aggrieved look. Entry level? Wang Xian was taken aback when he heard him. He sensed Tianxi's body. He could sense that there was water attribute energy in Tianxi's body. This water attribute energy was very weak and had not even reached the level of a deity. To the children of top-notch experts, The entry level was at the level of a deity who had ignited the divine fire. In the Muley tribe, some talented children could enter the entry level in a few days. But Tianxi needed a few months to reach the entry level from the beginning. To some experts, this talent was too trashy. This is funny. Wang Xian looked at Tianxi and found it a little funny when he heard the aggrieved words coming out of his mouth. The Muley tribe had a heaven yuan creation treasure with wood attribute in its body, which allowed it to absorb water attribute energy. Naturally, it was much slower, especially when this heaven yuan creation treasure with wood attribute was just starting to be born. If one were to say that the cultivation speed of a person who shared the same origin as the heaven yuan creation treasure was slow, then no one in the world would be faster than him. It could be said that Tianxi's starting point was the endpoint that billions of living beings could not reach. In fact, Tianxi's starting point was something that even heaven yuan creation realm experts were envious of. Even if he did not cultivate, the wood attribute heaven yuan creation treasure in his body could absorb energy and grow to a terrifying level. At this level, even a beginner heaven yuan creation realm expert would not be a match for him. It's a pity that Tianxi has chosen the wrong path, Wang Xian thought to himself. However, he could not blame Tianxi's grandfather for this. The Six Paths universe was different from the Nine Origins universe. In the Six Paths universe, babies could cultivate any attribute after they were born. Of course, under normal circumstances, it would be best for them to cultivate the attribute that their parents cultivated. This way, their talents would be better. As for others, for example, some people could not cultivate the fire attribute or water attribute. There were no such cases. Tianxi's grandfather was at the Universe Lord realm, but the Heaven Yuan creation treasure was not something he could understand. Moreover, this Heaven Yuan creation treasure had just been born, and it was instinctively concealing itself. If one was not a Heaven Yuan creation treasure, it would be difficult to discover the condition of its body. This was why people said that Tianxi's talents were very poor, and it would be difficult for him to achieve anything in his life. I can't let him walk the wrong path. Wang Xian looked at Tianxi and caressed his head. Tianxi, you are not stupid at all. You were born to stand at the peak of all living beings. Your future will be something that no one can imagine, and your grandfather will never be able to reach. As he spoke, he looked at Tianxi and asked, "Do you understand?" "Uncle, I understand a little. Am I really not stupid?" Tianxi looked at Wang Xian and asked with anticipation, "That's for sure. The water attribute that your grandfather taught you is not suitable for you. I'll teach you the wood attribute cultivation method," Wang Xian said to Tianxi. The wood attribute cultivation method? Tianxi looked at Wang Xian with doubt. Yes, it's similar to the water attribute cultivation method. I'll teach you the basics, and you can try again. As Wang Xian spoke to Tianxi, a stream of information entered his mind. Chapter 41:17. The cultivation method of the wood attribute entered Tianxi's mind. Tianxi looked at Wang Xian with doubts on his face. Wang Xian gestured to him with a smile, and Tianxi sat down with his legs crossed. After which, he began his cultivation. Tianxi was already 7 to 8 months old. If it was on Earth, he would have the IQ of an 8 to 9-year-old child. In fact, the knowledge he possessed was much more than that of an 8-year-old child on Earth. Tianxi sat down with his legs crossed. When he activated the cultivation method of the wood attribute, waves of energy immediately surged into his body. Even though this was a water source, the wood attribute was relatively sparse. But the speed of his absorption was still very fast. Soon, the energy in his body vibrated slightly and easily entered the level of a deity. Tianxi opened his eyes immediately and looked at Wang Xian in disbelief. At this time, Wang Xian felt the Heaven Yuan creation treasure in Tianxi's body vibrating slightly. Wang Xian squinted his eyes. When Tianxi first started his cultivation, he realized that the Heaven Yuan creation treasure had begun to grow. From a sprout, it grew to the size of a finger. Wang Xian fell into deep thought when he saw this change. "Uncle, why is my cultivation so fast? I feel that the wood attribute energy in my body has surpassed the water attribute. Moreover, I feel that there's a small tree in my body." Tianxi asked Wang Xian with his eyes wide open. I told you, you were born extraordinary. You are naturally suited to cultivating the wood attribute. Furthermore, there is a treasure inside your body. If this treasure is exposed, it will bring you, your mother, your grandfather, and even the entire Muley tribe a great disaster. Before you are strong enough, don't expose it and don't use the wood attribute. I will use a method to seal and hide your wood attribute energy. From now on, you will come here every day to cultivate the wood attribute. Wang Xian instructed Tianxi. I'll listen to you. I feel that you're the best apart from my mother. Tianxi opened his mouth and nodded his head heavily. Hee, all right. Tianxi, don't be anxious. In at most 1 to 2 years, you will be invincible in this universe. Wang Xian said to him with a smile. Invincible? Tianxi couldn't believe it. Wang Xian did not explain too much to him and patted his head. There are some things that I can't tell you right now, but you have to know that you were born extraordinary and no one can compare to you. For now, you need to hide. You need to hide for 1 or 200 million years. During these 1 or 200 million years, keep a low profile and endure. During this time, you cannot use wood attribute energy and do not tell anyone. If you have any grudges, remember them in your heart. After 100 or 200 million years, they will all crawl at your feet. Wang Xian guided him. Tianxi kept nodding his head. From the moment he was born, Wang Xian had given him a sense of closeness. Sometimes, this feeling was even stronger than that of a mother. He believed in Wang Xian. All right, from now on, you should live a normal life and cultivate. It doesn't matter if your water attribute cultivation isn't good, or if others say that your talent is poor. Don't take it to heart. If you have any grievances, you can come to me at night and tell me. Wang Xian continued speaking to Tianxi. Yes, uncle. Tianxi nodded. All right, continue cultivating the wood attribute. When you leave, I will seal your wood attribute. Wang Xian said to Tianxi. In the following days, every time Tianxi returned, he would cultivate the wood attribute beside Wang Xian. How fast could a child who had the creation treasure of heaven yuan in his body cultivate? His strength was growing rapidly every day. As he cultivated, the heavenly origin fortune supreme treasure in his body grew at a much faster rate. However, from time to time, Tianxi would complain to his grandfather about his poor talent. Even his teacher who taught him said that he was not talented. Only his mother would not say that about him. Wang Xian smiled and consoled him. He asked him to display his wood attribute energy and regain his confidence. Under his guidance, Tianxi might be unhappy outside, but he soon got over it. 2 years later, in the room where Wang Xian was, a faint wave of wood attribute energy surged forward and was stopped by Wang Xian. Uncle, I broke through. I broke through. This is great. This is great. Soon, Tianxi's excited voice was heard from the room. In 7 years, Tianxi had broken through to the undying God King level from a beginner in cultivation. In 7 years, he had surpassed the eternal God Lord level. Such a cultivation speed would cause a stir in the entire Six Paths universe if it was known. But now, no one knew. Wang Xian would not let anyone know. This was the terrifying speed of a cultivator who possessed the creation treasure of heaven yuan. Even Wang Xian could not help but be amazed and envious. Born extraordinary. Faster than I imagined. Wang Xian smiled. If mother knew, she would be even happier. Tianxi said, but uncle, I know I can't tell mother. Now that my strength has improved and my physical quality has improved, my water attribute cultivation is comparable to the other geniuses of our Muley tribe. Mother and grandfather are already very happy. With the improvement of Tianxi's strength, his physical fitness and energy sensitivity had also improved. Although his talent in cultivating the water element was still trash, he had a high-quality body. A child of the same age as him was still in the deity spirit realm, while he had already stepped into the deity king realm. What did this mean? They were not on the same level. Even if his water attribute talent was rubbish, with the support of his strong physical fitness, he was comparable to the top-notch geniuses in the Muley tribe. This had also made Tianxi's mother and grandfather happy for a long time about Tianxi's enlightenment. You can't be arrogant. No matter how talented you are, you must have a humble heart. Before you grow up, you will always be a weakling. Especially you, Tianci. You are special and you can't expose it. Wang Xian reminded and guided him again. Uncle, is it because of the small tree in my body? 7 years had passed, and Tianci had learned more. He looked at Wang Xian and understood some of the principles. Yes, if this were to be leaked, even the leader of the Muley tribe might lay a hand on you. This is also the reason why I didn't let you tell your mother. Wang Xian repeated. I know, uncle. You have told me many times and I have always remembered it. Tianci nodded his head and looked at Wang Xian. Uncle, I heard from my mother that she met an injured uncle when she was about to give birth to me. Is it because she saved you that uncle didn't take away the treasure in my body? Yes, if not for this reason, I would have taken away the treasure in your body. If I took away the treasure, you would be dead. Wang Xian smiled and nodded his head at him. Uncle, you are the best to me. I don't believe you would hurt me. Tianci hugged Wang Xian's arm and smiled. 7 years had passed, and he was already 1 meter tall. However, to Wang Xian, he was still a child. Chapter 41:18. Other than some special questions, Wang Xian didn't hide much from Tianci. Although Tianci was young, he understood many principles. Wang Xian looked at Tianci beside him with a smile. He moved his palm and sensed the creation treasure of heaven yuan in his body. At this moment, Wang Xian realized that the creation treasure of heaven yuan in his body had improved significantly again. The sprout that was the size of a finger was now the size of a palm with a few branches growing on it. The trunk of the decimal tree. The branches that had grown out of it. A few of the branches contained a huge amount of pure wood attribute energy. Under Wang Xian's senses, he discovered that the 3 branches contained unique energy fluctuations. This was derived from the wood attribute. Tianci, the little tree in your body has split into 3 branches. These 3 branches all have special abilities. Try to sense these special abilities. Wang Xian said to Tianci. Yes, uncle. Tianci nodded. Then, he sensed that his body was exuding a strong wood attribute aura. Wang. In the next instant, the illusory shadow of the branches appeared on his arm. After 3 consecutive attempts, Wang Xian sensed from the side. Uncle, there are 2 attacking branches and 1 concealing aura. Concealing aura can not only conceal oneself, but also the aura of others. Tianci answered quickly. Wang Xian nodded and his eyes sparkled. The aura concealment ability was a manifestation of the heavenly origin fortune treasure's aura concealment ability. In the past, it was passive. Now, it could actively conceal itself. Moreover, this concealing ability was even stronger than the one Wang Xian had on him. Under Tianci's concealing ability, unless a creation treasure of heaven yuan expert came within a few dozen meters of him and sized him up, he wouldn't be able to discover his condition. He wouldn't be able to discover the wood attribute in his body either. This concealing ability was extremely powerful. As for the other 2 attacking branches, they were also very strong. It could be said that Tianci, who had just stepped into the Immortal King realm, could use these 2 branches to fight against an Immortal King pinnacle existence. This was the terror of the creation treasure of heaven yuan. In the future, after I seal the wood attribute energy in your body, conceal yourself again. Wang Xian said to Tianci. Yes, uncle. Tianci nodded obediently. All right, you just broke through today. Have a good rest, said Wang Xian as he patted Tianci's head. Tianci giggled and nodded. In the remaining time, Wang Xian continued to recover from his injuries. The Tai Chi Dragon Plate was also constantly absorbing the dark energy, striving to complete its breakthrough. Time passed day by day. More than 90 years passed in the blink of an eye, and it had been a full 100 years since Tianci was born. Uncle, it's my birthday tonight. I'll be at home. Come over and have dinner with us. In the afternoon, Tianci ran in and shouted at Wang Xian loudly. Wang Xian opened his eyes and looked at the figure before him. After 100 years, Tianci was now about 1.6 meters tall. In the Muley tribe, he was still a small boy. Although Tianci wasn't tall, he had been groomed by the wood and water elemental attributes. His body exuded a noble aura. This aura was cultivated by Wang Xian. As the owner of a heavenly Yuan creation treasure, Wang Xian had always reminded him of one thing. One must be humble, but the arrogance and lofty character in one's heart must be above everyone else. I, Tianxi, am not weaker than anyone. Not weaker than anyone. This was the concept that Wang Xian had instilled in him. This also made Tianxi exude confidence. Similarly, keeping a low profile and being introverted was also a must. Oh, are you celebrating your birthday? Wang Xian looked at Tianxi and revealed a faint smile. Yes, uncle. After my first birthday, I'll have to study in the Muley tribe's college. I'll have to leave my parents and home. Tianxi nodded his head and said to Wang Xian. In the Muley tribe, children had to leave home after reaching 100 years old and enter the Muley tribe's college to study. Uncle, I don't want to leave you and my mother. Moreover, with my current strength, I don't need to study in the college. Uncle, you can teach me whatever I don't know. Tianxi walked to Wang Xian and said, You have to have your own complete life. I can't interfere too much with you. You have to learn on your own, get to know other people, and have your own friends. Wang Xian said to Tianxi. Tianxi opened his mouth and lowered his head. I don't want friends. Others say I don't have a father and I'm a bastard. Huh. Upon hearing this, Wang Xian raised his eyebrows. You can just beat someone like him. Challenge him directly and defeat him. He won't dare to say anything. Moreover, he's not a friend. Tianxi, you have to know that no one is qualified to be your father. Don't be sad because of this. Wang Xian knew that Tianxi didn't have a father from the start. Initially, he thought it was because Muri'in, Er's man, had abandoned him. Later on, he got a piece of news from the maidservant. Tianxi didn't know who his father was. Even Muri'in, didn't know who her man was. Muri'in, wasn't very old. She used to be the prettiest and most outstanding girl in the Muley tribe. However, one day, Muri'in got pregnant. Muri'in didn't know who her father was either. She got pregnant just like that. Initially, Muri'in's parents thought she was hiding this man from them. Later on, they found out that their daughter didn't know how she got pregnant either. However, a woman's pregnancy couldn't just happen out of thin air. Therefore, Muri'in's father suspected that an expert might have sex with Muri'in through powerful means. So Muri'in didn't find out. Or perhaps he had erased this part of her memory. Muri'in's father and elders were furious that their daughter was humiliated and pregnant. They wanted Muri'in to abort her child. However, Muri'in couldn't bear it and forced herself to give birth. The news of Muri'in's pregnancy and childbirth caused a huge sensation in the entire Mori tribe. They thought she was an unclean woman and Tianxi was also a bastard. Until now, Tianxi wasn't qualified to have the surname Muley. Muri'in's relatives suspected so. The people of the Muley tribe also thought so. However, Wang Xian sensed Muri'in and made a judgment in his heart. Muri'in wasn't humiliated. She got pregnant because of the birth of Tianxi. In other words, Tianxi was born in her body. Tianxi, just like his name, was a gift from the heavens. Without a father, the essence of heaven and earth was born in Muri'in's womb. Chapter 41:19. Tianxi looked at Wang Xian with sparkling eyes. Uncle, I'll make a move first. Let's go. Wang Xian nodded at him and watched him leave. Subsequently, Wang Xian checked on the situation of the progenitor tree. On one of the main branches of the progenitor tree, there was a branch the size of a palm. This branch was filled with a sharp aura. This branch came from the heaven origin fortune divine wood in Tianxi's body. The progenitor tree nurtured the heaven origin fortune divine wood in Tianxi's body. A few years ago, it had cut off a branch from it. This branch had grown to a level that was comparable to the heaven origin fortune divine wood in Tianxi's body. However, it was cut off from the heaven origin fortune divine wood in Tianxi's body after all. It couldn't be stronger than the parent branch. However, as long as the heaven origin fortune divine wood in Tianxi's body didn't resist the energy cut off by the progenitor tree, in that case, this small branch of the progenitor tree would have unlimited possibilities. Of course, the progenitor tree wouldn't forcibly cut off the heaven origin fortune divine wood in Tianxi's body. At the same time, It would also give the heaven origin fortune divine wood in Tianxi's body energy. It would also inject its own energy into Tianxi's body. In this way, it would also benefit the heaven origin fortune divine wood in Tianxi's body greatly. After all, both of them belong to the heaven origin fortune divine wood. Both of them had wood attributes. One was supportive while the other was offensive. Although this isn't as good as getting the heaven origin fortune divine wood directly, I can still gain many benefits. Wang Xian revealed a smile. The current situation was still acceptable to Wang Xian. Uncle, I'm here. Tianxi's voice sounded in the evening. Upon hearing it, Wang Xian opened his eyes and walked out with a beaming face. The courtyard had been decorated by Mori In-er. It looked very beautiful. Tianxi's grandparents and some people Wang Xian didn't know were there. There were over a dozen of them, including a few teenagers. Mr. Wang Xian, please take a seat here. Mori In-er's maidservant came forward and said to Wang Xian. Wang Xian nodded. In the courtyard, the rest of the people were curious when they saw Wang Xian. Tianxi walked over and pulled Wang Xian's arm happily. He whispered, Uncle, I gave that brat a good beating this afternoon. He doesn't dare to speak ill of me anymore. Hee, all right. Wang Xian smiled and patted his head. In the future, if anyone talks about you, you can challenge him, defeat him, and he won't dare to do it anymore. Tianxi nodded his head. Following which, he sent a voice transmission to Wang Xian. Hee, Uncle, if I could use the wood attribute, I could defeat them with a single finger. Keep a low profile. When the time comes, we'll amaze the world with a single brilliant feat, said Wang Xian with a smile. Tianxi smiled and nodded. Tianxi is still on good terms with you, little brother. Mori In-er's father walked over and smiled at Wang Xian. Maybe little Tianxi and I are fated. Wang Xian looked at the middle-aged man who was walking over and replied with a smile. Haha, this is indeed fate. The middle-aged man nodded his head with a smile. Tianxi is too close to young Master Wang Xian. As his mother, I'm a little jealous. However, I have to thank young Master Wang Xian for teaching me over the past 100 years. You have taught me many things. Mori In-er also walked over and said with a smile. She was indeed grateful to Wang Xian. After all, Tianxi didn't have a father. Wang Xian was here to make up for the lack of love from Tianxi's father. Although Wang Xian wasn't Tianxi's father, today's Tianxi's birthday. You're going to school tomorrow. Is there anything you want? The middle-aged man looked at Tianxi and asked with a smile. Although he wasn't happy about Tianxi's birth, he was still his grandson. Moreover, the talent he had shown so far was excellent. This made him accept this grandson who came out of nowhere. Without Grandpa, there's nothing I need. Tianxi pondered for a moment and shook his head. He suddenly looked at his mother and said, Mom, I do have a wish. As he spoke, his eyes sparkled. Tianxi, what wish do you have? Mori In-er asked Tianxi with a smile. Mom, can you promise me first? Tianxi continued speaking to Mori In-er. All right, you're the eldest today. Mom will promise you anything. Mori In-er smiled and patted his head as she spoke. Then, can I let Uncle be my dad? Tianxi looked at Mori In-er and asked expectantly. Mori In-er was taken aback by his words, following which, her face blushed. But soon, she ran her fingers through her hair. Silly child, this isn't something that I can agree to. If you want to acknowledge Uncle as your uncle's husband, you have to get Uncle's approval. If Uncle agrees, I will naturally agree to it. Mori In-er pointed at Tianxi's head. Uncle, can you do it? Can you do it? You'll be my dad from now on, and no one will say anything about me. Tianxi looked at Wang Xian and asked loudly. Wang Xian looked at Tianxi and then at Mori In-er. Seeing Tianxi smiling and nodding at him, Wang Xian nodded. All right, you can call me Godfather from now on. I've watched you grow up. Wang Xian didn't reject and nodded his head as well. He had watched Tianxi grow up. It didn't matter if he became Godfather. That's great. That's great. Tianxi shouted with a delighted expression. Tianxi, when you go to school in the future, I'll get an uncle to follow you when we're not around. He's my little brother. Wang Xian looked at Tianxi and transmitted a message to him. He didn't say it out loud. Following which, Wang Xian waved his arm and Qilin Bull appeared beside him. In the past, Tianxi was under Wang Xian's detection and wouldn't be in danger. Now that he was about to go to school, Wang Xian got Qilin Bull to follow Tianxi just in case. In addition, Tianxi now had the strength of a pinnacle immortal god king. The heavenly Yuan creation treasure in his body had been enhanced significantly. 2 more branches with concealment energy had grown. One could be used to conceal Qilin Bull. Wang Xian also had one here. The last one was naturally to conceal his own situation. Woo-woo. Qilin Bull let out a low growl after it appeared. He stared at Tianxi with a burning gaze. He knew Tianxi very well. This was a heavenly Yuan creation treasure that had just been born. With Qilin Bull by his side, Qilin Bull could also absorb some of the energy and aura of the heavenly Yuan creation treasure as it grew. As a result, he would gain many benefits. Even if he had to be Tianxi's mount for a period of time, he would be willing. Wang Xian thought to himself. The 5 elements grindstone and the progenitor tree had grown together, and the progenitor tree, as a heaven origin fortune treasure, definitely had a special energy. Only after being nurtured by this energy for a long time did the shackles of the great grind of 5 elements lessen greatly. However, the Taiji dragon coil would not work. Even after absorbing so many treasures, Wang Xian could still feel that there was a threshold blocking him. This threshold was not easy to break. He might need more resources and treasures. Shaking his head, Wang Xian sensed his own body. After 100,000 years, his injuries had recovered a little. Now, he could unleash the strength of a first-order universe sovereign. It would take at least 100 million years for him to fully recover. This was under the condition that Wang Xian had absorbed a large number of treasures. Send a message to Tianxi. When Wang Xian went into seclusion 10,000 years ago, he told Tianxi about it. On the communication device, Tianxi had sent him a lot of messages. He replied. Speaking of which, Tianxi could be considered as his biological son. Buzz buzz. Soon, Tianxi sent a message. Wang Xian saw it and replied immediately. Mr. Wang Xian, I heard from Tianxi that you have ended your seclusion. Before long, Murray-Er's voice came from outside. Wang Xian got up and opened the door. Yes, I just ended it. Wang Xian smiled and nodded to Murray-Er. After which, he looked at the message on the communication device. Tianxi asked us to have a meal at the snow house. Let's go. He continued. How long will it take for Mr. Wang Xian to fully recover from your injuries? Murray-Er nodded and asked with concern. To fully recover, I will need at least 100 million years. The previous injuries were very serious. Wang Xian answered honestly. 100 million years to recover from your injuries. It seems like Mr. Wang Xian is very strong. You should have reached the universe sovereign realm. Murray-Er said with slight surprise. Yes, I have. Wang Xian nodded with a smile. That's amazing. Mr. Wang Xian doesn't look very old. Murray-Er said in surprise. Those who could reach the universe sovereign realm were considered experts in the 6 Paths universe. His father had the strength of a 5th-order universe ruler. In the Muley tribe, he was a deacon-level character. The strongest expert in the Mori tribe was only an 8th-order universe sovereign. He's not young anymore. I haven't seen Tianxi for 10,000 years. I wonder how he has changed. Wang Xian and Murray-Er chatted as they flew out. Soon, they arrived at the flourishing district of the Mori tribe. The streets were bustling with people, and shops lined both sides. Mother, Godfather. When they arrived at the Snowflake Tower, the extraordinarily handsome Tianxi saw them and immediately shouted at them. Wang Xian looked over. Compared to 10,000 years ago, Tianxi's appearance had not changed much. However, his strength had greatly surpassed the Void God Emperor level. Of course, this was the strength of the wood attribute. As for his water attribute strength, it was only at the first-order immortal God King realm. Even in the Muley tribe, this realm was still top-notch. Beside him, Qilin Bull lay there. When he saw Wang Xian, he immediately transmitted a message to him. You've improved very quickly. Let's spar after dinner. Wang Xian looked at Tianxi and said with a smile. Sure, Godfather. I'm very strong now. No one in our elementary school is a match for me now. Tianci lifted his head slightly and said proudly, Tianci, don't be too proud. Muri'in walked over and said to him. She then turned to Wang Xian and said, teach this brat a lesson later. Don't let him get arrogant. Don't, Mom. Godfather will really make me suffer. When Tianci heard this, he quickly shouted. This made Wang Xian and Muri'in laugh. Godfather, you've been in seclusion for too long. You won't be going into seclusion again, right? Tianci asked as he moved a chair out for Wang Xian and Muri'in to sit down. Yeah, I won't be going into seclusion again. Chapter 41:21. The reason why he had secluded himself for 10,000 years was because he thought that the Tai Chi Dragonboard might be able to achieve a breakthrough. Unfortunately, he didn't succeed. This made him feel very helpless. In the following days, he would not go into seclusion again under normal circumstances. By the way, I heard that the tribe is going to establish an elite team of the Muley tribe. A group of elites of each age group will be selected and trained with all their strength. Tianci, did your school inform us? Muri'in asked Tianci. Mom, the school has already notified me. I'm going to enter the intermediate school immediately. Once I'm there, I'll have access to resources that far surpass others. Tianci nodded. From now on, Tianci, you must cultivate well and strive to become a peak expert in our Six Paths universe. Muri'in said to him. By now, all living beings in the Six Paths universe knew about the cataclysm. Now, all the tribes were preparing for the cataclysm, pooling resources to nurture experts. It was all for the sake of a higher chance of survival when the cataclysm arrived. Don't worry, Mom, I will. Tianci nodded and suddenly asked, Oh right, Mom, where's my grandpa? I haven't seen him in a long time. Is he in seclusion as well? No, your grandfather followed the other experts of the tribe to seek and kill the invaders from other universes. Muri'in said to him, Invaders from other universes? Why are the other universes invading us? Tianci asked curiously. Mother doesn't know much about this. I heard from your grandfather that because a powerful treasure was born in our cosmos, experts from other cosmos have come to snatch it. The three lords in our cosmos are also searching for that treasure. Speaking of which, Tianci, when you were born, our universe was enveloped by the primordial violet qi. It is said that it was on that day that that powerful treasure was born. Muri'in said to him with a smile. This was the first time Tianci heard his mother say this to him. He was taken aback and looked at Wang Xian with astonishment. Wang Xian smiled and did not say anything. Godfather, do you know something? He couldn't help but transmit his voice to Wang Xian. You don't need to know now. Just live a good life. Wang Xian did not answer him. Seeing that Wang Xian did not reply, Tianci had no other choice. However, he had some guesses in his heart. After a meal, Wang Xian and the rest went to a sparring arena. Wang Xian gave some pointers on Tianci's attacking techniques. After that, the three of them returned home. Time passed quickly again. 100,000 years, 1 million years, 10 million years. Buzz. On this day, Wang Xian, who was recuperating from his injuries, suddenly felt a majestic vitality coming from his body. A surge of wood-attributed energy rushed into his body. This energy quickly healed the injuries in his body. Originally, it would have taken him 80 to 90 million years to recover, but now, he was recovering at a terrifying speed. What's the situation? Wang Xian was taken aback by the sudden turn of events and widened his eyes. He could feel the injuries in his body rapidly healing. This healing energy originated from the progenitor tree. He focused his attention on the progenitor tree. When he sensed the progenitor tree, his face lit up with joy. At this moment, the progenitor tree's branches and leaves reached the sky. Fruits were growing on it. There was the soul-returning embryo fruit, the endless wood embryo fruit, and the eternal embryo fruit. There was also the nirvana thunder embryo fruit. The fruits grew one by one. Each branch contained a variety of energy. In addition, on the main trunk of the progenitor tree, there was an eye-catching branch. On top of this branch, there were more than 10 branches. These branches possessed a powerful force. They were dazzling and eye-catching on the entire progenitor tree. Even the densely packed branches and fruits in the surroundings could not conceal the sharpness of this branch. These did not surprise Wang Xian. What shocked him the most was that on the top branch of the progenitor tree, fruits were starting to form. Using his mind to sense, there were more than 20 fruits. Each fruit was the size of a palm. However, these fruits had clearly just grown and had not ripened yet. The progenitor tree has passed the growth phase and reached the mature phase. Seeing that the main body of the progenitor tree was bearing fruits, Wang Xian was pleasantly surprised. Once the progenitor tree bore fruits and the fruits ripened, it would mean that the progenitor tree had entered the mature phase. Entering the peak phase, the might of the Heaven Yuan creation treasure would also be fully unleashed. Now, the might of the progenitor tree is showing. Wang Xian's eyes were shining. Yes, at this moment, he could already sense some changes. Among them, the biggest change was his injuries. Currently, Wang Xian's recovery ability had reached a terrifying level. Now, if he were to suffer from the same serious injuries as the previous time, he would not need any treasures. He would not need hundreds of millions of years. As long as he recovered, he would be able to fully recover in tens of thousands of years. This regenerative ability was absolutely terrifying. One should know that Wang Xian's previous injuries were extremely serious. Now, Wang Xian's vitality was comparable to that of the past. If Wang Xian did not defend himself and attacked him 10 times with full force, he would only be able to kill him completely. But now, he would need to attack with full force for at least 20 times. His powerful recovery ability allowed him to recover quickly after suffering such a huge attack. Now, Wang Xian could rely on this recovery ability to fight against 2 Creation Realm experts who had just entered Heaven Yuan Creation Realm. This was because Wang Xian could totally exchange injuries for injuries in a battle. 2 Creation Realm experts who had just entered Heaven Yuan Creation Realm could not kill him. In fact, if they were to fight to the death with Wang Xian, it was hard to say who would survive. All this was under the condition that Wang Xian did not use the 5 Elements Grindstone. If he used the 5 Elements Grindstone, the outcome would be even worse. Impressive, really impressive. The progenitor tree is about to enter the mature stage, and I have already gained so many benefits. When the progenitor tree completely enters the mature stage, won't I be comparable to a Creation Realm expert? The progenitor tree is only a creation treasure of Heaven Yuan with a supportive nature. What about Tianxi's offensive creation treasure? Does it mean that he can fight against 2 control-level serendipity divine beings when he's just reached the serendipity stage? If that's the case, it'll be too terrifying, Wang Xian exclaimed in his heart. This possibility was very high. Even if he could not fight against 2 Creation Realm experts, it shouldn't be a problem to fight against 1 Creation Realm expert and 1 or 2 Creation Realm experts. It's a good thing that my injuries have recovered. At least I can handle any special situations. The next step is to nurture Tianxi's growth. I'm really looking forward to the growth of the creation treasure of Heaven Yuan in his body, Wang Xian thought to himself. Chapter 41:22. The advancement of the progenitor tree was a pleasant surprise to Wang Xian. Perhaps it was because of the heaven origin creation within Tianxi's body, or perhaps it was because the progenitor tree had absorbed enough energy. The progenitor tree was strengthened, and its injuries were healed. His strength increased. Wang Xian's current strength was already terrifying. With Wang Xian and the 5 Elements Grindstone, he could contend with existences at the control level. With the addition of the Qilin Bowls, their strength would be even greater. I can relax a little from now on. Wang Xian stretched his back and revealed a faint smile. He didn't have to constantly recover from his injuries. Wang Xian came out of the room and looked around. Mr. Wang Xian, why are you here all of a sudden today? At this time, Murray saw Wang Xian and asked with a smile. Although Wang Xian had been staying here, he had not stepped out of his room for a long time. Murray asked curiously when she saw Wang Xian suddenly coming out today. My body is fine now. Thank you for taking care of me, Miss Murray. Wang Xian thanked her. Mr. Wang Xian, you're treating me like an outsider. You're Tianxi's adoptive father. Naturally, we're relatives. Moreover, I didn't take care of him much during this period. Maureen shook her head. Miss Maureen, I won't disturb you anymore. I'm going to live outside. Wang Xian said to Maureen. When Maureen heard him, she was slightly taken aback. Mr. Wang Xian, are you going to stay outside? It's all right. You can stay here. Moreover, if Tianxi comes, we can still have a meal together. Haha, thank you, Miss Maureen, but it's a little inconvenient to live here. Wang Xian shook his head. It was indeed somewhat inconvenient to live here. Does Mr. Wang Xian have a place to stay? Maureen looked at him and asked. I plan to buy a house near the Heaven's Gift Academy and live there. When Heaven's Gift is fully grown, I plan to go somewhere else. Wang Xian answered. Live next to the academy? You're not familiar with this place. Do you want me to help you find a house? Maureen said to him. Sure, thank you, Miss Maureen. Wang Xian nodded his head. It's no trouble at all. You don't have to stand on ceremony with me. Maureen shook her head. Let's go. I'm familiar with that place. I'll find someone to ask for you. Wang Xian nodded his head and followed Maureen out. The location of the Heaven's Gift Academy was not too far from here. If they were to fly, it would only take about half an hour. My friend said that there are houses for rent here. Maureen looked at the communication device and said to Wang Xian, All right. Wang Xian nodded his head and continued walking ahead with her. It was located in a bustling area around the Muley Tribe's college. There were all kinds of shops here. However, the upper floors of the shop were habitable. In short, this place was not as suitable as Maureen's room. There were many pedestrians around. The two of them came to the front of a shop. What do you think of this house? It's all shops here, and above the shops are residences. The environment isn't as good as mine, but it's more prosperous and it's very close to the academy. This shop is for rent. It's 500 square meters and has a height of 1,000 meters. You can decorate it yourself. Maureen introduced a house to Wang Xian. Sure. Wang Xian looked at the place and nodded his head. When the time came, he would just have to make some arrangements in the house and set up some arrays. As for the location, he wasn't too concerned. All right. The shop owner will be here soon. Let's wait for a while. Maureen said. Isn't this Maureen? Oh, this one. Hee. Could he be the father of your child? At this moment, a teasing voice was heard. The sudden words stunned Wang Xian and Maureen. You're indeed the Heaven's daughter of the Muley tribe. You have a son at such a young age. Haha, you're ahead of all of us. Another teasing voice was heard. From the right, 5 to 6 girls walked over. They were holding weapons in their hands and lifting their heads slightly. They were sizing up Maureen and Wang Xian. Their faces were filled with sarcasm. Ignore him. Maureen frowned when she saw them and whispered to Wang Xian. She completely ignored the 5 to 6 girls. TSK. Maureen, have you found the father of your child, or are you finding a stepfather for your child? You're making someone else a father. Seeing Maureen ignoring them, the girls weren't bothered. They were still mocking her and made shrill voices. You're talking too much nonsense. Wang Xian looked at them. All of them were at the First Order Universe Venerable Realm. As he looked at them, an invisible pressure shrouded them. In an instant, the girls turned pale and their faces were covered in cold sweat. Wang Xian looked at them again and retracted his gaze. The pressure on them disappeared instantly. Great. Not bad, Maureen. When the girls felt the pressure disappear, their expressions changed drastically. They stared at Maureen and gritted their teeth, following which, they left with sullen faces. Clearly, the pressure that Wang Xian exuded with a single gaze had terrified them. They knew that Wang Xian was very, very strong. This made them jealous. Thank you. At the side, Maureen was slightly taken aback by the scene. She looked at Wang Xian in astonishment and hesitated for a moment. What's your level of strength? You're so strong. I don't think you're an ordinary universe lord. Maureen was at the Second Order Universe Venerable Realm. In fact, Maureen was considered very young in the Mori tribe. Those of the same generation as her had never married or had children. Chapter 41:23. Thank you. Murray-Er's eyes flickered as she looked at Wang Xian. She could not help but thank him. Wang Xian's strength had exceeded her expectations. This was unbelievable. Wang Xian's strength was considered top-notch in the Mori tribe. You don't have to thank me. You saved my life. Compared to that, what I did was just a small matter. Wang Xian smiled and shook his head. It's Tianxi's luck that you can teach him. No wonder his strength improved so quickly. It's all because of your help. Murray-Er said gratefully. When Tianxi first started cultivating, he was very untalented. Later on, for some unknown reason, his strength improved by leaps and bounds. She was happy for a long time. Now, it seemed that Wang Xian might have helped him in the dark. With Wang Xian's strength, helping Tianxi to cultivate day and night would increase his strength by a lot. A 7th-order sovereign realm expert continued to guide them. In the entire Muley tribe, there wasn't a second person who received such treatment. I didn't help much. Wang Xian knew she had misunderstood and shook his head. Murray-Er smiled. Miss Murray-Er, are you looking to rent a house? Before Murray-Er could reply, an old man walked over and asked. The topic changed. Next, Wang Xian bought the entire shop. In the Six Paths universe, Wang Xian had gotten his hands on some universal currency. Moreover, under normal circumstances, currencies were resources. As long as the value was similar, the other party would agree. Thank you, Miss Murray-Er. Let me treat you to a meal. Wang Xian said to Murray-Er. Sure. Murray-Er nodded and the two of them went for a meal. Wang Xian moved to this place and had a leisurely life. Tianxi would often come over and call his mother. The three of them would have a meal together. Tianxi would talk about his school affairs. It was interesting. Time passed quickly. Tens of millions of years had passed. Tianxi grew from a child to a big boy. The Heaven Yuan creation treasure in his body was also improving rapidly. During this period, Wang Xian also returned to the Dragon Palace to stay for some time. With Enlai around, it was very convenient for him to go back and forth. Mom, Godfather, tomorrow our academy will hold a trial. After the trial, the top 10 will be chosen to participate in the 6th Daos tournament. This time, I will definitely get into the top 10. Then, I will shine in the 6 Realms tournament. When that time comes, I will let everyone know that my mother has a good son like me. 90 million years passed. For the Muley tribe, a child had to stay in the academy for at least 200 million years. For the powerful cultivators who had a lifespan of more than 30 billion years, 200 million years in the academy was not much. Okay. Mom doesn't ask you to get a name. I just want you to be safe. Murray-Er looked at Tianxi and said with a smile, That won't do. I want to get a good ranking. I have to protect you in the future. Tianxi shook his head and said with determination, The dean said that the cataclysm will come in a few billion years. When the time comes, there will be a great war. It will be difficult for the weak to survive. I must be strong enough to protect my mother. Good. I'm very happy to hear that. Murray-Er nodded happily. When will the 6 Realms tournament be held? Wang Xian asked Tianxi. The dean said that it will start 10 million years after our training. Tianxi looked at Wang Xian and said, Godfather, my cultivation speed has slowed down a lot. I was still thinking of getting the championship, but it seems like it will be a little difficult. Currently, Tianxi had reached the level of a 3rd-order universe venerable in the water attribute cultivation. In the Muley tribe, he was a top-notch supreme talent. Currently, Tianxi was the pillar of his generation. Even those who were much older than him were not as strong as him. The Muley tribe was the most outstanding existence in the past few billion years. He was highly regarded by the experts in the academy. As for the 6 Realms tournament, it was jointly organized by 2 major tribes in the 6 Realms universe. These 2 great tribes were the 2 tribes that had Heaven Yuan creation realm experts. The 6 Realms tournament this time. To put it bluntly, it was similar to the 9-Source Universe Sword and the Sorcerer Universe. They were all preparing for the arrival of the cataclysm. They would use the remaining time to nurture another batch of top-notch experts to deal with the arrival of the cataclysm. If they could get a good ranking in the 6 Realms tournament, they would be able to enter the top-notch treasured lands in the 6 Realms universe. To any participant, It was a great honor to be able to obtain a ranking. All the supreme talents from the tribes in the Six Realms universe would participate. As for Tianci, his water attribute cultivation had reached the Third Order Universe Venerable Realm. His wood attribute cultivation was even more terrifying. Now, he had broken through to the Third Order Universe Sovereign Realm. It was terrifying to reach such a level in less than 100 million years. Of course, this was all because of the creation treasure of Tian Yuan. That's normal. Your cultivation will get slower and slower. Upon hearing him, Wang Xian replied with a smile. He had forced himself to cultivate the water attribute. Because of the wood attribute, his cultivation speed was faster. But as the water attribute cultivation got higher, his cultivation speed would get slower and slower. In the end, he would fall behind others. This was normal. The water attribute was just a cover-up. But Wang Xian wanted Tianci to have a complete life, a complete childhood and experience. That's enough, Tianci. Don't tire yourself out. Muri In-er, who was beside him, reminded him happily. She was also very happy for her outstanding son. A mother's status depended on her son. It was the same in the Muley tribe. The three of them chatted as they ate. On the second day, Tianci participated in the school's training. The instructors of the academy brought them to a training ground to let them train and fight elemental beasts. Wang Xian was not too concerned about it. The Qilin Bull had always been by Tianci's side or hidden in his storage space. Even if there was danger, the Qilin Bull would still be around. Saint Father, there is still no news. It has been 100 million years. Could it be that the treasure has been obtained by someone? Water source, somewhere in the Whirlpool Sea. In this area, there was a torrential downpour. On the surface of the sea, there were terrifying whirlpools. Above one of the whirlpools, two figures stood in front of an old man and reported. More than 80 million years ago, the creation treasure of Tian Yuan was born. This creation treasure of Tian Yuan has a strong concealment ability, making it hard to be discovered. In addition, there are various detection treasures outside the Six Paths universe. Once someone obtains it and brings it out, they will be discovered immediately. As for the Six Paths universe, they are still searching for the creation treasure of Tian Yuan. The possibility of them getting it is not high. The old man said plainly. Chapter 41-24. Lord Holy Father, we've been searching for 80 million years. The Six Paths universe has formed a team of experts, and many of our experts have been killed by them. We can't go on like this. Two figures knelt respectfully in front of an old man in the Whirlpool Sea and continued reporting. We'll search for another 100 million years. If we don't find anything in 100 million years, we'll leave. The old man stood in the air and said calmly, yes. The two people kneeling on the ground didn't dare to resist and immediately answered, search carefully. If I find out that half of you are still alive after 100 million years, I'll interrogate the two of you. If you can find any information about the treasure, I won't let anything happen to you in the upcoming Cataclysm War. The old man suddenly looked at them and said calmly. His words caused the two people kneeling on the ground to tremble violently, and a look of horror appeared on their faces. The old man's gaze shifted away from them, and he flew into the distance. The two people kneeling on the ground looked at each other with extremely ugly expressions on their faces. The Holy Father had given his orders, and they knew that they had no other choice. In the next 100 million years, they would have to search seriously. They would have to search wantonly. They couldn't care less about the sacrifices. Otherwise, if they didn't search wantonly, if they didn't find the treasure, and if half of them were killed by the experts of the Six Paths universe, they would be the ones to die. They didn't doubt that the Holy Father would destroy them in the end. The two figures slowly stood up and flew into the distance. In front of them, the Holy Father scanned the surroundings. When he sensed energy fluctuations in front of him, he slowly stretched out his hands. A luxurious light attribute robe covered his body, completely concealing his figure. Captain Tianci, we'll be depending on you to hunt the exploding turtle this time. All right, let's try our best not to suffer any casualties this time. In front of them, Tianci and a dozen students from the Muley tribe were flying rapidly. As the most outstanding disciple of the Muley tribe, Tianci exuded a strong sense of confidence. He had a handsome face and a comfortable smile on his body. The dozen students around him clearly regarded him as the leader. 100 kilometers in front of them, the Holy Father glanced at Tianci and the others. Soon, the distance between them was only a dozen kilometers, and it was still closing. Tianci and the other students clearly didn't see or sense the presence of the Holy Father. They continued flying forward. As they got closer, the Chilean bull lying inside the God-given space item suddenly opened its eyes. That single eye looked out. He saw a figure not far away, his eyes sparkling. In order to avoid being discovered, the Chilean bull didn't look too long and shifted its gaze. He hesitated for a moment before taking out his communication device and sending a message to Wang Xian. "Boss, we've just encountered a light attribute divine origin creation realm expert. We haven't pulled away from him yet." After the Chilean bull sent the message, it waited quietly. He did not inform Tianci and did not let Tianci and the rest leave. This was because the divine origin creation realm expert in front of him was too close. If he told them, it would attract the attention of the divine origin creation realm expert. Tianci had a heaven origin fortune treasure in his body, but even a heaven origin fortune treasure expert would not be able to discover what was going on in his body unless he was dozens of meters away. Therefore, the Chilean bull did not act rashly. According to the direction and position they are flying in, Tianci and the others will be 4,000 to 5,000 meters away from that old guy. They shouldn't be discovered. The Chilean bull looked ahead and calculated in his heart. The Chilean ox now possessed a branch of the heaven origin fortune treasure in Tianci's body. In terms of concealment, it was extremely powerful. Similarly, only a divine origin creation realm expert who was dozens of meters away from him would be able to discover him. As long as he didn't stare at the other party, he wouldn't be discovered even if the other party didn't have a heaven's fortune grade treasure. More and more heaven origin fortune realm experts have entered the Six Paths universe. Where is the heaven origin fortune treasure? The probability of me obtaining the treasure is a little low. However, even if there's only a 1 in 10,000 chance, I can't give up and search here for another 100 million years. Otherwise, I really can't accept it. The Holy Father walked in the air, muttering to himself. He was a little displeased. He swept his gaze across the surroundings and once again glanced at a spot not far away from him. Over there, Tianci and a dozen other students were constantly discussing and formulating plans for the upcoming training. Noisy. When the Holy Father heard this, he waved his arm in frustration. An invisible energy shrouded Tianci and the rest. Damn. At the same time, a few thousand meters to the right, the Chilean bull sensed the sudden attack from the light attribute heaven origin creation realm expert, and his expression changed. Damn it, this guy obviously didn't sense Tianci or me. He's trying to kill Tianci and the rest. The Chilean bull's eyes were cold as he instantly sent a message to Wang Xian. Wang. In the next instant, the Chilean bull appeared beside Tianci. A surge of energy surged from his body. The energy knocked the dozen students beside Tianci unconscious. A surge of energy shrouded them and kept them. At the same time, a surge of energy shrouded Tianci. Boom. Soon after, a surge of energy landed on the defensive barrier. The sudden change, the sudden appearance and attack of the Chilean bull had frozen the smile on Tianci's face. He looked at the Chilean bull in shock. An expert wants to kill all of you. The Chilean bull spoke to the shocked Tianci. Little bull, you can speak? Tianci looked at the Chilean bull, who suddenly spoke, and was shocked. This was a pet that his godfather gave him on his first birthday. At that time, his godfather told him that it was his little brother, and that he would follow him to ensure his safety. Hundreds of millions of years had passed. Other than looking a little cute, the Chilean bull had not shown any difference. Now, it suddenly attacked and even spoke human language. This shocked Tianci greatly. Let's leave this place immediately. The Chilean bull was speechless at the way Tianci addressed him. However, this wasn't the time to chat with Tianci. The other party had not discovered the situation within Tianci's body. He had to leave this place immediately and get rid of him. Let's go. As the Chilean bull spoke, It enlarged to a height of about 10 meters, and Tianxi sat on it. Subsequently, the Qilin bull flew towards the back rapidly. The August Sky Demon God was a veteran divine essence creation realm expert. I don't need you to meddle in my affairs. I'm warning you, get lost immediately. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. The Qilin bull glanced at the Holy Father and said with a murderous look, to be able to make a heavenly origin creation realm cultivator willingly stay by a brat's side? Then, the Holy Father did not care about the Qilin bull's majesty. His eyes slowly emitted a blazing glow. A heavenly origin creation realm expert protecting a brat from the Six Paths universe. This was definitely strange. What kind of situation could make a heavenly origin creation realm expert do such a thing? Only when it involved a huge treasure. It was obvious. The heavenly origin creation realm treasure of the Six Paths universe. Light is everywhere. The Holy Father's body immediately emitted a burst of light that enveloped the entire heaven and earth. It instantly enveloped the Qilin bull. The Qilin bull saw the violent energy surging from its body, supporting the surrounding area. Heavenly origin creation realm. This little bull is actually a heavenly origin creation realm existence? At the same time, Tianxi, who was on the Qilin bull, was completely dumbfounded. He could feel the terrifying aura from the Qilin bull and the Holy Father in front of him. When he heard their words, his heart was in turmoil. What kind of existence was the heavenly origin creation realm? He knew this. It was a supreme existence. It was the pinnacle existence in the entire Six Paths universe. According to the Dean of the Academy, there were 3 supreme beings in the Six Paths universe. These 3 lords were the strongest experts in the Six Paths universe. And these 3 beings were at the heavenly origin creation realm. And now, this little bull who had been with him for nearly 100 million years and had never fought or spoken to him was actually a heavenly origin creation realm. How could he dare to believe this? This was simply too shocking. If this little bull was a heavenly origin creation realm expert, then wouldn't his godfather be one too? This little bull was his godfather's little brother. This? Huh. This, how is this possible? That little guy actually has a heavenly origin creation realm treasure in his body. The heavenly origin creation realm treasure of the Six Paths universe is actually in his body. At this moment, a slightly crazed voice came from the front. The Holy Father's eyes were fixed on Tianxi, his eyes filled with greed, passion, and madness. The heavenly origin creation realm treasure. The heavenly origin creation realm treasure was actually right in front of him. The treasure that he had been searching for 100 million years. He had actually discovered it. Feeling the Holy Father's gaze, Tianxi was shocked and a wave of fear and panic surged into his heart. Facing the gaze of a heavenly origin creation realm expert, he could not withstand it at all. Huh, damn it, I've been discovered. Seeing that Tianxi's identity had been exposed, Qilin bull's expression changed slightly. This was not good news. Currently, Tianxi had not grown up yet. If his identity was completely exposed, they would not be able to protect him at all. A heavenly origin creation realm treasure is in his body, but you did not take it away. Is there any special reason? The Holy Father continued to speak. His breathing was slow and rapid. Or are you waiting for me to take it away? Wishful thinking. Hearing his words, Qilin bull's eyes were filled with violent murderous intent. He did not continue to escape and slowly raised his head. Demon God, flower of death, explode. Above him, the eye with the blood-red flower in its pupil bloomed one by one. The petals directly attacked the Holy Father. Holy Bell, today, I will fight you to death and obtain a shocking creation. The Holy Father was extremely fanatical. With a wave of his arm, a divine bell of light floated in the air. The divine bell of light enlarged and enveloped the entire heaven and earth. Seeing that the other party was trying to trap them with the divine bell, Qilin bull's eyes flickered, but he did not dodge. He did not attack the divine bell either. Chapter 41:26, Dong. The bright bell rang and a huge divine bell shrouded the entire space. It completely enveloped Qilin bull and the rest. The Holy Father stared at Qian Bull coldly as a terrifying aura erupted from his body. A strong will to fight filled the surroundings. He stared at Qian Bull. He was prepared to engage in a battle of life and death with someone of the same level, the kind that would not rest until one of them was dead. Under normal circumstances, it was rare for someone of the same level to fight to the death. But now, for the sake of a creation treasure of heaven Yuan, he would not rest until one of them was dead. Otherwise, he would not be satisfied. Even if this body of his perished, he had to give it a try. You want to fight to the death with me? Let's see who will die today. He is not someone you can lay a finger on. Qian Bull stared at the Holy Father with a cold gaze. The other party wanted to kill him and obtain the creation treasure of heaven Yuan. However, Qian Bull did not escape immediately. Escaping was the next best option. He had already received news of Tianxi and could no longer escape. Instead, he had to kill him. Although he could be revived after killing him, he would still have to expose himself. However, killing him would give them a buffer and allow them to make some preparations in advance. Most importantly, Qian Bull knew that Wang Xian was rushing over. The other party's strength was similar to his. But once Wang Xian arrived, they would be able to eliminate this creation treasure of heaven Yuan expert of the light attribute. Let's end this quickly and see who will die today. I must get the creation treasure of heaven Yuan. The Holy Father stared at Qian Bull and went berserk. He had to kill the other party as soon as possible. Otherwise, as time went on, it was possible that he would be discovered by other experts, or even by the experts of this universe. I say, light erupts, white night rages, death of light, sacrifice of light. The Holy Father waved his hand and sharp spikes appeared on the magic staff in his hand. A terrifying aura erupted from his body. In an instant, he unleashed 4 powerful attacks. In fact, the last attack completely exhausted his foundation. He raised the spiked magic staff in his hand and struck at Qian Bull. Tianxi, lie down. When the Qian Bull saw the other party unleashing his full strength, his face turned solemn. A wave of energy enveloped Tianxi's body, and the Qian Bull's body began to expand once again. Soon, it reached several thousand meters in size. The aura of a demon god surged, and the horn of the Qian ox emitted a powerful death energy, directly welcoming the Holy Father. Boom! A terrifying collision sound rang out, and terrifying energy surged into the surroundings. Tianxi laid on top of the Qian Bull and was protected by the energy. His face was filled with shock. He never expected the Qian Bull's powers to be so terrifying, nor did he expect his opponent's powers to be so terrifying. A great battle broke out. However, when the battle broke out completely, in the Muley tribe, when Wang Xian received the message, his eyes narrowed. He moved at a terrifying speed and rushed towards where Lin Niu and the others were. He didn't expect that Tianxi would be discovered by a divine origin creation realm powerhouse. Moreover, he was discovered in such a manner. In Wang Xian's opinion, the Heaven Yuan creation treasure in Tianxi's body had a strong concealment ability. A divine origin creation realm powerhouse could only sense Tianxi from a distance of tens of meters. A distance of tens of meters could be considered very close. Such an expert wouldn't normally be so close to him. But now, a divine origin creation realm powerhouse wanted to kill Tianxi and the others. Qian Bull had no choice but to intervene. It's a little early to be discovered, Wang Xian thought to himself and frowned slightly. Tianxi's current strength was only at the Third Order Universe Lord realm. Although the Heaven Yuan creation treasure had been growing, it hadn't reached the mature stage. It wasn't even close. According to Wang Xian's estimation, Tianxi would need another 1 to 200 million years to reach the Heaven Yuan creation realm. When Tianxi reached the Heaven Yuan creation realm, the Heaven Yuan creation treasure in his body would also reach the mature stage. The reason why it could grow so quickly was also related to the progenitor tree in Wang Xian's body. When Tianxi was young, the progenitor tree had been instilling energy into him. Although he had taken a branch, it had at least shortened the growth period of the Heaven Yuan creation treasure in his body by 100 million years. Forget it. If it really doesn't work, I'll bring Tianxi to the Tree of Chaos. Wang Xian thought to himself and a cold look gradually appeared in his eyes. That divine origin creation realm expert with the light attribute was actually trying to snatch Tianxi away. Oomph! He snorted coldly and shuttled rapidly under the water surface. The swirling sea was a region where elemental beasts gathered. That was the domain and paradise for elemental beasts. It was also the place where Tianxi and the others trained. It wasn't near to the Muley tribe. Even if Wang Xian used the teleportation formation in the Muley tribe to reach the nearest tribe, and then flew at full speed, it would still take him a day. However, Qilin Bull could still hold on for a day's battle with the Divine Origin Creation Realm expert. Even if Divine Origin Creation Realm experts of the same level fought with their lives on the line, it would still take 5 to 6 days, or even more than 10 days to determine the winner. Unless both parties were willing to die, then it was possible to determine the winner within a day. But obviously, Qilin Bull wouldn't fight with his life on the line. Time ticked by. At a corner of the swirling sea, Qilin Bull and the Divine Origin Creation Realm expert of the light attribute were fighting continuously. Hold on? How long can you hold on for? Ha ha ha, let's see how long you can hold on. In the middle of the battlefield, Qilin Bull and that sacred father were fighting fiercely. At the beginning, the Divine Light Attribute Creation Realm expert was exchanging blows with his life, hoping to end the battle as soon as possible. After exchanging blows with him a few times, Qilin Bull calmed down and started defending. This made the Divine Origin Creation Realm expert excited, thinking that Qilin Bull wasn't a match for him and didn't dare to engage in a life-and-death battle with him. His eyes were glowing with a fiery glow, and terrifying attacks came one after another. Oomph! Qilin Bull snorted coldly, but didn't answer. He continued to defend against his attacks. Some wounds appeared on his body, and they weren't light. Similarly, the Divine Light Attribute Creation Realm expert also had wounds on his body under his frenzied attacks. His wounds were only slightly lighter than his. If it was a real life-and-death battle, the chances of Qilin Bull dying were still very high. His opponent's strength, treasures, and means were stronger than him. But there was no need for him to fight with his life on the line. Chapter 41:27. Boom, boom, boom. The impact of the energy and the vast might cause the divine light bell to rumble continuously. The Sacred Father, who was at the heavenly essence creation level of the light element, kept bombarding the Qilin Bull with blazing eyes. After fighting for more than 20 hours, he could sense that the Qilin Bull was no match for him. Especially when he was injured at the beginning of the battle, he still had the upper hand. This filled him with excitement. Even if he was severely injured, he would take the Heaven Yuan fortune treasure with him today. He would bring it back to his universe. In that case, his strength would be greatly enhanced. He would be fearless in the face of the calamity. The battle continued. Tianxi, who was lying on the Qilin Bull, was still in shock. He could only see the energy around him. He felt like a leaf in the ocean. He could die at any time. Now, he understood the situation he was in. Tianxi was a smart person. Based on the information he had gathered, he had a clear understanding of himself. 100 million years ago, there were invaders from other universes in the Six Paths universe. His grandfather had even been recruited to join a team that hunted the invaders. Even the three lords of the Six Paths universe could not do anything to the invaders. One could only imagine how strong they were. He also knew the purpose of the invaders entering the Six Paths universe. It was to obtain a treasure from the Six Paths universe. As for what the treasure was, the disciples of the Six Paths universe did not know. Now, he knew that he was the treasure. Once he was discovered, he would be killed and the treasure in his body would be taken away. This caused his body to tremble. No wonder Godfather did not want me to expose my wood elemental energy. No wonder Godfather placed a seal on me. Tianxi began to understand. He looked at the bleeding Qilin Bull, and his expression changed. Uncle Qilin Bull, should we run? You are injured. Tianxi said to the Qilin Bull. Don't worry. The Qilin Bull transmitted his voice to him and continued to face the attacks in front of him. Roar, roar. Tens of minutes later, the Qilin Bull suddenly roared. You want to fight me? Let's see who lives and who dies today. The Qilin bull instantly went berserk, no longer passively defending. All sorts of runes shot out from the scales on his body. These runes transformed into strange and terrifying phantoms. Each and every one of them was like a demon god. Ha ha ha, good good. Then let's fight to the death, huh? The Holy Father laughed maniacally when he saw that the Qilin bull was going to fight him to the death. His eyes glowed as he charged at the Qilin bull, engaging in close-range combat. Boom boom boom. The Qilin ox and the Qilin ox clashed against each other. Terrifying energy battered the flesh of both sides. In less than 5 minutes, wounds had appeared on their bodies. Judging by the intensity of the battle, it wouldn't be long before a victor would be decided. Buzz. However, at this moment, a figure quickly flew over from outside. Wang Xian stood at the front and looked ahead. His eyes were gleaming with excitement. A veteran divine origin creation realm expert is slightly stronger than a Qilin. With me and the 5 elements grindstone, I should be able to kill it. Wang Xian murmured. He focused his gaze and his eyes glowed with grayish energy. This light attribute divine clock is actually a broken fragment of a divine origin creation treasure. Wang Xian looked at the divine clock. Divine origin creation treasures were not indestructible. Divine origin creation treasures could be destroyed if they were at the control level or the Great Tao level. It was especially so for divine origin creation treasures that had yet to reach their peak. Heavenly origin fortune treasures could be said to be the same as heavenly origin fortune realm experts. However, the difference was that divine origin creation treasures could only be destroyed and could not be completely obliterated. The broken heaven origin fortune supreme treasure still contained some power. If he could find all the fragments and nurture them with a large amount of time and energy, he could still recover. Whoosh! In the next instant, Wang Xian was above the divine clock of light. With a wave of his palm, the 5 elements grindstone appeared at the side. The star sector fragment and the book of forbidden water spell, the 2 divine origin creation treasures, appeared in his hands. Boom! In the next instant, Wang Xian controlled the star sector fragment and the book of forbidden water spell and blasted them at the divine clock. At the same time, the 5 elements grindstone also unleashed a powerful attack towards the divine clock. Rumble! The sudden attack caused a huge crack to appear in the defensive barrier set up by the divine bell. At the same time, the energy shields in other areas started to collapse. Pfft! This is bad. Other divine origin creation realm experts are here. At this moment, Holy Father, who was fighting with Qilin, suddenly sensed that the defense of the divine clock had been broken. The divine clock suffered a huge attack. His expression changed drastically, and he could not help but spit out blood. The divine clock was nurtured by him and was one with him. When it was severely injured, his body would also be injured. Just like Tianzi, taking away the divine origin creation treasure in his body would also mean the end of his life. Roar, roar, die. Qilin's eyes shone brightly. The horn on his head emitted blood-red energy and charged towards him. Stop. There are foreign divine origin creation realm experts. You won't have a good ending if you fight with me. Holy Father saw Qilin charging towards him. Due to the impact of the divine clock, his body had also suffered a blow. This made him extremely embarrassed. In such a short period of time, a divine origin creation realm expert had actually discovered this place. His luck was simply terrible to the extreme. Kill. However, at this moment, a cold voice entered his ears. Wang Xian, who was in the sky, immediately turned his arms into dragon claws after breaking the defense of the divine clock. The terrifying dragon claws carried destructive energy and clawed at his body. Close combat. Wang Xian was also fighting in close combat. He was fighting with his life on the line. Shit, are you guys together? When he saw Wang Xian charging towards him, he was infuriated. He did not expect Qilin to have a helper. Scram! He bellowed and waved the magic staff in his hand. The sharp thorns on the staff were like lasers and charged towards Wang Xian. Wang Xian did not dodge at all and continued to attack with the dragon claws. Behind him, on the 5 elements grindstone, the heads of the 5 divine dragons intertwined and formed a 5-colored divine dragon head. The divine dragon head charged towards the light attribute divine origin creation realm expert. Chapter 4128. Damn it, they're trying to kill me. When Saint Father saw Wang Xian facing his attack without any intention of dodging, his expression changed drastically when he was about to go head-on with Wang Xian. He was confident that he could kill Qilin Bull. However, with the addition of a creation realm expert, he was definitely no match for them. Under such circumstances, if he continued to fight, he would definitely be the one to die. Escape. However, he had to shake off their attacks in order to escape. Boom. At this instant, Wang Xian's dragon claw collided with the magic staff in his hand. Terrifying energy surged towards the surroundings. The rain in the sky evaporated instantly. Even the seawater below was annihilated by the energy and disappeared. Wang Xian's dragon claw started to turn into a bloody mess. His claws were about to fall off. However, Saint Father didn't have it easy either. Their battle was completely close combat. Their bodies were the first to suffer the impact of the energy. His arm that was holding the magic staff crumbled immediately. His flesh disappeared, leaving only pale white bones behind. It looked just as horrifying. Wang. However, at this moment, the 5 elements grindstone that was following closely behind Wang Xian. The head of the 5-colored divine dragon attacked him. The distance between them was too close. He had been fighting with Qilin Bull to begin with and was prepared to end the battle quickly. Therefore, he was heavily injured. Now that Wang Xian had suddenly appeared, he couldn't dodge at all. After dodging Wang Xian's attack, the 5 elements grindstone's attack landed on him. Boom. The 5 elements dragon head landed on his body directly. Saint Father was enraged and his body emitted dazzling white light. He took out a divine herb and put it into his body. Boom. The 5 elements dragon head landed on his body. His chest emitted a powerful radiance. A radiant shield with patterns on it blocked in front of him. However, even though he managed to withstand the attack of the 5 elements dragon heads, his body plummeted to the ground. Qilin Bull's eyes narrowed when he saw this. Fight. Didn't you want to fight? Ha ha ha. Let's see who will die today. Damn it. Qilin Bull lifted his head slightly and blood-red energy began to gather around him. Behind him, the shadow of a demonic god appeared. The demon god slowly opened his arms and embraced the Holy Father. The threat of death enveloped the Holy Father once again. The Holy Father roared as he saw the attacks coming one after another. The staff, which had fallen to the side, instantly appeared above him. The staff turned into a defensive shield and enveloped him. Boom! The embrace of the demonic god enveloped the Holy Father, and great terror was happening inside. Countless devils were tearing at him from inside. Wang Xian moved and waved his arm. The space lock of the starfield fragment was executed. At the same time, stars appeared one after another, connecting into a line. Buzz! The energy of the demon god's embrace began to dissipate gradually. Wang Xian waved his arm, and the stars that contained terrifying power shot towards the sacred father. This, Foster Father is here. From the moment Wang Xian arrived to the moment he launched the attack, everything happened in the blink of an eye. Tianci, who was lying on the Qilin Bull, widened his eyes when he saw Wang Xian. He was pleasantly surprised. Seeing the terrifying stars arranged in a row, with no end in sight, his face was filled with astonishment. His godfather was 100% a creation realm expert. A top-notch expert in the world. All of you deserve to die. All of you deserve to die. If you dare to kill me, I'll spread the news that you have obtained the creation treasure of heaven Yuan. The Holy Father's body trembled violently when he saw the terrifying attacks coming at him one after another, and he roared loudly, "Kill him with all your might." Wang Xian stared at the saintly father with a cold gaze. Tianci had been discovered by him. No matter what would happen next, he must not let him go. On the contrary, after killing him, he would revive in his own universe. Even if he rushed over, it would take a long time for him to do so. As for whether he would spread the news about Tianci, Wang Xian felt that the possibility was slim. Now, he had to kill him to buy more time. As long as Tianci grew stronger, he would fear no one. It would be impossible for other experts to snatch away the creation treasure of heaven Yuan from him. Yes, boss. The Qilin bull immediately answered loudly. Energy began to build up in its body. When the attacks from the stars ended, the Qilin bull would strike again with all its might. Roar, roar. Upon hearing Wang Xian's words, the Holy Father saw the horrifying stars. He sensed his own body and let out a furious roar. He moved his palm, and a unique line of light appeared in his hand. This long line flew into the distance instantly. It was so fast that Wang Xian and the rest could not react in time. Just as the stars were about to land on his body disappeared. Huh. Wang Xian's eyes narrowed when he saw this. He knew that existences of this level would have some means to escape. Otherwise, they wouldn't have dared to step into the Six Paths universe. However, it was a pity that the Holy Father had just started fighting with the Qilin bull and was ambushed by him. He had less than 50% of his strength left. Trying to escape. Chase. Wang Xian roared at the Qilin bull and chased after the line of light. Just you wait. Just you wait. The heaven Yuan fortune treasure belongs to me. It belongs to me. The Holy Father attached himself to the line of light and fled at high speed. His face was filled with malevolence. He still had a chance after this failure.